All right, folks, we are going to go ahead and get started. So good evening, and welcome to the Temecula Community Services Commission regular meeting for August 9th, 2021. I'm Eric Levine, the chair of this commission, and I call this meeting to order. I'd like to call Cammie up for a flag salute.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Cammie. It's great to have the public here. It's usually just a pretty lonely group up here. Nice to have something that we can all discuss tonight. So with that, let's start with our roll call.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Tracy Courts, Community Services Coordinator, and it's an honor to serve as your secretary this evening. Let's begin with the roll call. Commissioner Krzyzewski.
Here.
Commissioner Oddie.
Here.
Commissioner Sizemore. Vice Chair Ruiz.
Here.
And Chairperson Levine.
I am here.
All present, thank you.
Great. And we have some public comments.
Yes, we do.
And we have, as I understand, some items for the consent calendar and some items for the business items. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. So I will read. So here we go. So a total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the Community Services Commission on items that appear on the consent calendar or a matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. For all business items on the agenda, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting, by submitting a speaker card to the secretary, or by submitting an email to be read aloud into the record and at the meeting by the secretary. Email comments must be submitted to tracy.courts@temeculaca.gov. Email comments on all matters, including those not on the agenda, must be received prior to the time the agenda is called for public comments. Email comments shall be subject to the same rules as would otherwise govern in-person public comments. So that said, we have a couple of changes to tonight's agenda and the way that we're conducting business tonight. So first off, we're having some technical difficulties, as you've seen, with some frantic running back and forth. So if you could please give us some grace. Some of the video may or may not work. If you are presenting or have an item up here at the dais, you'll have to kind of present it. They'll do their best to. Is that okay?
I have extras of their presentations that we can just hand out and you guys can pass it down and look at.
Okay. So we will work through it, is the bottom line here. And then some of you have items to, as I understand, 3 items for the consent calendar with 3 minutes, 3-minute limits. And then when we get to the business items, and I understand that we have maybe a dozen items on the roller rink, which is item number 3. Those have the limit of 5 minutes. So we're going to have the public comments first, then go through the agenda. And when we get to that item, that's when those comments will be read. All right. And last, I need to let you know that due to the Brown Act, we aren't allowed to converse with you while you're up here presenting public comments. So it's not that we're not interested in what you're saying. It's not that we don't want to engage with you. It's just how it is with public comments. So we will discuss what we hear from you guys tonight. We will listen to the staff report, and then during that part where we discuss the business item, we will talk amongst ourselves, we'll talk with staff. We just can't engage with you. So just so everybody understands what's actually happening with that. And we are actually going to move our first item of division reports to the end of the business items. So we can get right to the matters at heart and why you guys are all here. Anything that I missed? Nope. All right. So let us now bring forth, I think we have 3 public comments. Go
Yes,
ahead.
so we have 3 speakers for items not on the agenda. First, we will begin with Joseph with the neighborhood drop-in.
Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, okay, let me get this guy situated. Well, I'll have to wing it. There you go. Hello? Okay. Good evening. My name is Joseph Komrosky, and I'm here representing Neighborhood Drop-In. We are a nonprofit organization advocating for more skate parks and action sports parks here in Temecula. Action sports such as skateboarding and BMXing are everywhere. They're on television, cereal boxes, social media, and now finally internationally recognized as an Olympic sport. In short, action sports like these are ubiquitous. They're everywhere, and they're here to stay. Why are skate parks beneficial to communities? Well, simply put, they provide a place for kids who aren't attracted to or unable to participate in traditional team sports to be able to express themselves in an individual and athletic manner. Getting kids, particularly at-risk kids, involved in a personal esteem-building activity with a community like skateboarding or BMX helps them to build confidence to do well in other aspects of their life. Did you know that skateboarding alone has 13 million participants nationwide? There are nearly 4 million BMX riders, with thousands comprising both of these residing right here in Temecula. Keep in mind that there's only one skate park in Temecula, which can become overcrowded at peak times, which leads to safety issues, which is dangerous. That means that the vast majority of them are riding in the streets or on private property where they're not welcome. This is a result of inadequate facilities for them to engage in their passions. Riding in the controlled environment of a skate park is much safer than riding in the streets. And this helps establish a healthy relationship between the athletic community, local businesses, and law enforcement. When the park is built right with local skater and biker input and involvement throughout the process, our youth can develop a sense of ownership and pride. The very existence of the park itself is a result of their hard work. We believe that skate parks and skate spots should be located within neighborhood gathering places and that skateboarders and riders, like any other group of young athletes, should have their healthy choices enthusiastically supported by the Temecula community. With this, I urge you, we at Neighborhood Drop-In urge you to support the community effort to establish more public skate parks in Temecula. We've seen hundreds of these projects from dream to reality in communities all across the United States. You could see more of these successful stories by visiting skatepark.org. We firmly believe that this can happen too in Temecula. On that note, I want to leave you with an impression that I hope resonates with you. Temecula's motto is old traditions, new opportunities. We believe that our mission, vision, and values of Neighborhood Drop-In align with this statement, as yes, we have a skate park, our old tradition, but we could have so much better for action sports enthusiasts at large with a new opportunity. Imagine one day we could have an Olympic-sized action sports park of our own where residents, whether they be adults, teenagers, young youth, can actually train to enter the Olympics. Imagine how great that would be. Lastly, and it's perfect for the context that we're in, as advocates for healthy athletic activities, we wholeheartedly support the current roller rink at Ronald Reagan Sports Park. In fact, we should be discussing more recreational facilities for our youth, not less. Please reconsider the decommissioning of this roller rink. Thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you. Can I get a show of hands for how many are here with Neighborhood Drop-In? Awesome. That's everybody? Cool. Next speaker?
Our next speaker is Susan Puma.
Welcome.
Good evening. I am the president of the Temecula Valley Genealogical Society here in Temecula. We've been an active part of the community for 23 years. We are a nonprofit organization and have served the community in a way that many organizations have not. We are the only ones that can help people to go back into their family history, to find their identity in their family history. And we have the ability to, we use the library where we have computers. People from any part of the community can come in and we will help them to establish a family tree. It has been an extremely well-used opportunity for the community. Right now, we are not able to meet. And so I'm here to encourage the commission to consider to reopen the community room here at the Civic Center for the Genealogical Society to use for their monthly meetings. We have an open house usually in October, and our open house is open to all in the community, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people in the community to come and to see what we have to offer. We have no other venue that we can use. So I thank you that you have made it available to us for many years in the past, and I just want to encourage you, please open it soon so we can get back to our monthly meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
And for our third speaker, I believe it is Sally Curley.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Sally Kirby. I'm co-president of the Temecula Valley Garden Club, and my co is Debbie Stoddard, and we have other members here. One of our members has come to the last council meeting, and she met with Erica Russo about that. We have done a lot for Temecula. We have landscaped the Wolf's Tomb. We've served at Jacob's House to re-landscape it. We've done Habitat for Humanity landscaping. We have done, for years, horticultural educational workshops for several of the elementary schools. We have a problem in that we have been meeting with you at the CRC for probably about 15 years. We've given you about $20,000. And we want to meet back there this year. We want to start in September. Now, we've kind of gotten the runaround about when you're going to make this decision. We have a problem in that we need to get our insurance ready for that, and which takes about a month. We have a newsletter put out to let our members know where we're going to go. It's very expensive to go out to churches that have kitchens, so we're kind of stuck. We've done Zoom for a year and a half. It's not working very well for us. We're losing members. So we would appreciate it if you would make a decision on this right away so we know where to go. We appreciate that we have the CRC, which is a perfect venue for us. So thank you very much for allowing us to come and speak to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's the end of public comments
Yes.
for that item. All right, so moving on to our consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the Community Services Commission request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. We have one item tonight, which is to approve the action minutes of July 12. Do we have a motion?
Move consent.
Second.
Okay. So I believe we have a motion from Vice Chair Ruiz and a second from Commissioner Adi. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Kristevsky?
Aye.
Commissioner Adi?
Aye.
Commissioner Sizemore?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ruiz?
Aye.
Chairperson Levine?
Aye.
The motion is approved, 5-0.
Thank you. And let's see, item number 2. So we're moving on to our business items now. Business item number 2 is to approve a recommendation to the City Council that nominates Daryl and Rebecca Farnbach for placement on the City of Temecula Wall of Honor. Who will be speaking on this item tonight?
That will be me, Chair Levine.
All right.
And as some of you may have noticed when you came into the chambers, out in the hallway there in the foyer, we have a wall of honor, which is dedicated to preserving the memory of and the historical legacy of some of our most notable citizens. So with that, if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'd like to actually read the background here for this recommendation, just because I think it's a really wonderful story that more people should know. So the item before you is to approve a recommendation that nominates Daryl and Rebecca Farnbach for placement on the City of Temecula Wall of Honor. This is brought forward to you. It was recommended by the Wall of Honor Ad Hoc Subcommittee, which includes Mayor Marianne Edwards and Councilmember Jessica Alexander. Daryl and Rebecca's Farnbach's mission to preserve and share Temecula's history earned them the well-deserved award of Temecula Valley Citizen of the Year in 2019. They have devoted decades of their time, money, and effort to protect Temecula's past, advocate for, and share the history of the Temecula Valley with a very fond interest, particularly in the 87,500-acre Vail Ranch legacy. Among their most notable accomplishments was saving the historic Vail Ranch headquarters heritage site from demolition in 1997-98, including Temecula's oldest building, the Wolf Store, located on Temecula Parkway. Many of you may be familiar with this area as being adjacent to the Kohl's area. It's now a retail center. But back then, when the site was not yet annexed into the city of Temecula, and it was under the jurisdiction of the county of Riverside, it was slated for demolition and commercial development. In the spring of 1998, the developer bulldozed a historic adobe structure at the site, and Daryl, together with a small team, prepared a lawsuit privately. He just privately took this on himself. Prepared a lawsuit against Riverside County without the assistance of an attorney. He marshaled support from the community. There was yet, at that point, no local historical societies, so they formed the Vail Ranch Restoration Association with others that shared their love for Temecula and advocated for the historical value of the Vail Ranch legacy that once encompassed Temecula Valley. Ultimately, their actions prevented further demolition. And although the historic site and structures are now sandwiched between Kohl's, Famous Footwear, Ross, and other retail establishments, it is still a California State Heritage Site. Due to their lawsuit and their efforts, that site was fenced off for its protection until after the city annexed the area, and a developer and architect believed in the dream to redevelop it. With careful oversight, the Farnbachs worked with the developer, and the structures were restored to honor the historical past of Temecula's Vail Ranch headquarters. The unique park-like setting melds historic buildings with boutique shops, restaurants, and family attractions, and welcomes thousands of visitors a day who enjoy a peek into Temecula's history. Thanks to the vision and leadership of the Farnbachs, the buildings were protected. The renovations were done according to the U.S. Department of Interior Standards for Historic Rehabilitation. The Vail Ranch Museum was also constructed of historic remnants and materials, and the site serves as a testament to Temecula's Vail Ranch past. In addition to these extraordinary efforts, Rebecca has co-written 6 books about Temecula Valley history, and Daryl also served on the Riverside County Historic Commission. They've both helped to form the Temecula Valley Historical Society in 2001, a few years after forming VARA, and the Farnbachs have met continuously, weekly or monthly, for over 22 years, volunteering endless hours to protect and preserve Temecula's history. So for these reasons, and many more that we can't go into all the details, we are bringing before you this recommendation to approve to approve the nomination of Daryl and Rebecca Farnbach for placement on the City of Temecula Wall of Honor.
So do members of the commission have any questions?
I got one.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, thanks. No questions about their nomination. I was just curious for the Wall of Honor, is there a prerequisite or kind of eligibility? I mean, I know there was something in the report about just making an outstanding contribution, but is there a more detailed eligibility requirement?
There is actually a procedure. It's called the Procedure for the Establishment and Continuing of Operation of the City of Temecula Wall of Honor. And it goes into more detail as to what constitutes an outstanding achievement or outstanding contribution to the city. So we can get you a copy of that procedure if you'd like.
Perfect. No need. I was just curious kind of what,
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like a very, worthy nomination. I don't have any problems with the nomination. I was just curious the process. So.
Good question. Yeah, so Erica, are we having discussion, or we ask questions, or how should we proceed?
If there's no discussion, you can just move to approve. Or you can entertain a motion to approve.
Discussion?
I'd
Sure.
just like to make a comment. I think it's heroic what they did, and I just think it's one of those hidden gems here in Temecula. And I love Kohl's. It's probably got this at Kohl's. But it would just be so awesome if that could be moved somewhere else, to just continue that to the museum and over to Vail headquarters. It would be a great spot for something like a natural history museum. So Kohl's, if you're listening, that's my comment. But I think they are so deserving for that Wall of Fame.
Thank you.
If I can make a comment, the only comment I would make is we should give them two. They have done an incredible job. We have taken scouts to the museum probably around 5 or 6 years ago when Daryl was there a little more often in the museum, and he spent hours talking to every adult and every child and just sharing so much of our community's history. Even when we just showed up there to book the museum tour, took us around the buildings that hadn't even been remodeled yet or open to the public, and just shared that history. The books that I use to teach history to my scouts of Temecula's history are, Rebecca authored, and they're just gems. And that would be, if I was to make a suggestion, it'd be give them each their own tile. They've contributed a lot to preserving the history of our community.
They have indeed.
So is this is a joint nomination? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
One time.
Chris, no? All right. Can we entertain a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Oddie and a second from Commissioner Sizemore. So I will take a roll call vote. Commissioner Krastevsky?
Aye.
Commissioner Oddie?
Aye.
Commissioner Sizemore?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ruiz?
Aye.
Chairperson Levine?
Aye.
All right, the motion is approved 5-0. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. So we will now move to item number 3, discuss the status of the roller hockey rink at Ronald Reagan Sports Park. Have the public comments first, or?
No, we'll do the presentation first and the
Presentation
public comments to
first.
follow.
All right.
So with that, Community Services Supervisor Sergio Raya will come forward to do a presentation. This is where we remind you all that we're having technical difficulties. So normally he would be able to operate the PowerPoint from the computer there, but as it is, I believe our wonderful IT staff in the back will be running it from back there, so it may just be a little less smooth than we would like it to be. Before we begin, just a little overview. I think the majority of you are here for this item, and we would just encourage you to keep coming back to Community Services Commission's meetings because it's great to have people in the audience participating in this process. So we're very happy you're all here. We love when the community shares their enthusiasm and their passion for activities with us because as community services and parks and recreation professionals, this is what we do. We are here to serve the community, and our goal is to figure out the best possible way to do that. So with that, Sergio's going to give a PowerPoint presentation that gives a little bit of an overview. This is as much for staff, commission, and anyone in the audience who isn't already familiar with it. And I'm going to jump in towards the end of the PowerPoint. There's a couple boring slides about budget that I will take off your hands, Sergio. So with that.
Excellent. Well, you took the first few sentences out of my mouth.
ahead,
I was
repeat
just going to explain initially that the intent of this presentation is just to give some basic history and some basic information about both of our rinks. I don't know if, Kathy, we had the opportunity to meet last Thursday, and that was great. Nice to meet you, Chris. My name's Sergio. But the other three, I'm not sure, other four, have you guys ever been to the rinks? So if you're unfamiliar with it, this presentation is designed to just kind of fill you guys in on those essential details. Next slide. So the first rink that I'm going to discuss is the Ronald Reagan Rink, which began construction in 1994. It's located at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. It's located off the Margarita side of the park. And like I said, it began construction in 1994. I believe it had its grand opening in 1996, along with the skate park. This site has Musco Sports Lighting, which for those of you that aren't familiar, those are the tall light towers that provide like good sports light. It's got hardscape concrete bleachers as well as aluminum bleachers, one on each side. And then the rink dimensions are 180 feet in length and 85 feet in width. Okay, next slide. Here's an aerial view of Ronald Reagan Sports Park. Next slide. Oh, okay. Well, here, just so you commissioners are aware, when the rink was constructed, it was constructed in a manner that I'm sure Erica or Stacy might be able to go into more detail on, but each of those circled sections right there are expansion joints. That's because they couldn't pour the concrete in one giant piece, so they needed some sort of expansion joints. But these are the areas that are particularly problematic. Next slide. So the second of our two rinks is located at Mike Nagar Community Park, which, you know, very recently used to be known as Margarita Community Park. So hopefully I don't screw that up, but, you know, I may. But yes, the Mike Nagar Community Park has a rink. This one began construction in 1995. It also features LED Musco lighting. There is no hardscape bleachers, but there are a few sets of aluminum bleachers, and then there's also on one side of the rink a large grass slope, which can also be used as for spectators. And then the rink dimensions of this one are slightly larger, just slightly, at 185 feet in length and 85 feet in width. Next slide. So here's an aerial view of Mike Nagar Park's rink. As you can see, you can sort of see what I'm talking about as far as the aluminum bleachers and then the slope space that's on the bottom of the photo. Next slide. Okay, so we have three main rental groups that reserve time at our hockey rinks or roller rinks. We have group number one is the Winetown Rollers, and they reserve rink space year-round with a few breaks, you know, for the holidays and a bit of a summer break. But by and large, it's all year-round. They have an average of 4 reservations, reserve nights a week. They are billed at the Temecula resident rate, and they typically hold their matches on Saturdays, but it's only a few Saturdays a year, less than a dozen. And they're not reserving time this month because they just raised some concerns with the COVID variant, so they rescinded their reservation request. The second group that reserves space at our rinks are the Temecula Valley Lacrosse group, and they only reserve space at one of the rinks and only in the fall season. They usually reserve no more than 3 days a week at the rink, usually 2 practice nights on the weekdays and games for Saturdays. They are also billed at the Temecula resident rate, and like I said, they're only there in the fall, so we see them less often, but they're still a main group. The third of which is our largest, and that is Temecula Valley Inline Hockey Association. They also reserve rink space year-round. Of course, again, given a few weeks during the Christmas, New Year's holiday and in the summer, but they're there very much year-round. They reserve an average of 7 nights a week between the 2 rinks. So typically, it's like 5 rinks at their, or excuse me, 5 nights at the rink that they use more often, and then 2, sometimes 3 nights at the rink that they use less often. They are now currently primarily reserving the Gar Park, but prior to COVID, their main rink was the Ronald Reagan rink. They are also billed at the Temecula resident rate, and they typically hold their games both on the weeknights, the games and practices on weeknights. Next slide. Oh, one more detail I forgot in the last slide, but you don't have to go back, is that these are the 3 main groups, but it's not the only groups. We have occasional one-time, a party or a dance thing. They're just drop-in groups that may only rent once or twice a year. So, anyhow, the average rink usage per season, and we're going solely based off of 2019 numbers. This is how it broke down. Reagan, from January to June, TIVA reserved an average of 20 to 25 hours a week. And then from July to December, TIVA averaged 20 to 25 hours a week. And as you can see, in 2019, they're the sole users of the Reagan rink, as it was their primary location at that time. Nagar, back then, saw TIVA reserve an average of 10 hours a week, Winetown Rollers an average of 13 to 15 hours a week, and this is during January to June. And then July to December, TIVA, again, 10 hours a week, with a small portion where they reserved 20 to 25 hours a week in the summertime. I'm not sure if it was for their travel team practices or what have you, but they were there just for a small portion of time, more often than 10 hours. And then again, Winetown Rollers, another 13 to 15 hours a week during this portion of the year, and then Temecula Valley Lacrosse, 10 hours a week from mid-September through November. Next slide. Our fee schedule is we charge $0 an hour for recognized nonprofit recreation sports leagues, and we charge, we charge $0 an hour for no lights, and then $5 with lights. And then the resident rate, all of which these groups are charged at, is $7 an hour without lights and $14 an hour with lights. And then we also have a non-resident rate, which is $14 an hour without lights and 24 hours an hour with lights. Now, just to give you guys some clarification, we oftentimes in sports charge the non-resident rate for these leagues' games, whether it's Winetown Roller matches or TIVA's games. And that's because what we used to do when teams were recognized, like back when TIVA was a recognized youth league, we would charge $10 a non-resident. So in order to account for those non-residents that are playing in the league, we estimate that it's the additional $7 an hour and then $10 an hour with lights is our way of covering that cost if we were to assume that some of the players on those teams that are playing games are non-residents. So just in case you commissioners were wondering, or anybody out is wondering why that rate is different. Next slide. Oh, this one I will go ahead and let Erica fill in as she prepared these slides.
Okay, so this is, as I said, the boring part. This is where we get into, oops, if I can have that PowerPoint back up, please. Gotcha. Oh, bear with me. There we go. Okay. So the Ronald Reagan rink was constructed, or the original capital improvement project to construct it was just over $1.4 million back in the 1994-95 time frame. These are just kind of a highlighted list of some of the repairs that have been done over the time at Ronald Reagan. In '06, we replaced the wall boards at the request of TIVA it was $150,000. In 2008, TIVA donated a scoreboard, which we installed and ran electrical for. It was $11,000. And then what I'd really like people to focus on here is everything that follows '08, so that 2011 on down. These are all remediations related to that surfacing issue with the expansion joints and cracks. So, and we're fortunate enough to have our maintenance wizard in the audience, Stacy Fox, who can answer more specific questions if you have them after the presentation. But typically, a resurfacing will last 5 to 10 years, and at the Ronald Reagan rink, we're getting, lately more like 2 to 3 years out of that. So we've kind of swung back and forth between the total resurfacing, which is in bold there, which runs between, say, $12,000 and $16,000 a pop. And then, oh, sorry, that's a typo for me on that 2021, that was my fault, where it says total resurface. That's actually just the current repair we're doing to the expansion joints, which is why it's $5,500. So if you go back about 10 years, we've spent about $57,000, almost $58,000 on repairs solely related to this surfacing issue, which keeps coming up. Now, as most of you, I think most of you we've probably emailed in the past week or so, as most of you are aware, what raised this issue in the first place was a recent injury that occurred on the rink. And when staff went out, they took a look, and it was one of these expansion joints. And the issue that forms is that as the expansion joint gaps, it can catch wheels and somebody can trip. And then our risk management division determined that because that was now a known hazard, we could not continue to operate the rink until we had patched it, which is why the rink has been closed for the past 2 weeks. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so this is just to give everybody a sense for cost to maintain and operate the two rinks. So at the Reagan rink, we have a higher average annual cost to operate because of this resurfacing issue. So we're resurfacing it every 2 to 3 years and recoating the joints and cracks roughly twice a year, in addition to the routine maintenance you would have at any hockey rink, including the cost for lights and the cost for maintenance staff. We're looking at roughly $10,440. There's some estimates baked in there. By comparison, the Nagar rink, which does not have the expansion joint issue, it can hold a resurfacing every 5 to 10 years and then just gets routine maintenance, graffiti abatement, that type of work. Again, including lighting and staffing, approximately $6,300 a year. So we're looking at just, again, just a ballpark, $4,200 a year more to maintain the Ronald Reagan rink at this point. The average annual revenue pre-COVID, and I want to put a giant asterisk here on pre-COVID because we understand this COVID year was not representative of anything anyone's doing. The average annual revenue pre-COVID per rink was about $9,200. About $3,800 of that, again, these are estimates pre-COVID, comes from Winetown Rollers. And I call that only because I know there's been some discussion about Winetown Rollers. Currently, they're not using the rinks. They may be looking for an alternate home. So I only call Winetown Rollers out for that reason. And the estimated cost to repair the rink, which is the question we keep getting, is why not just put the money in? Why not just repair the rink? So Stacy was kind enough to get us estimates and to completely fix the problem for good. So we're not just doing these little, chasing these patches down, would be approximately $450,000. So just as a frame of reference. Okay, I think that's, Sergio, next slide, please. I think that's the final slide for this presentation. Is that right?
Oh, okay, that's the end of it. Do you guys have any questions and comments that either I can try to answer, or maybe Erica can, or if we need Stacy for technical questions?
Yeah, Sergio, just one question. Thanks for the information here.
No problem.
Can you, the rink at Nagar requires less resurfacing. Is it a completely different type of constructed material? I mean, it looked like it was constructed only a year later. So what's the difference in those two roller rinks?
Yeah, that's something that Stacy can go over. They were in fact constructed with different joints. I don't know the names of the method of construction, but that's what's accounting for the differences.
Yeah, the difference is the Nagar rink does not have expansion joints, and it's the expansion joints that cause the problem.
Is that
Right,
it?
so
Okay.
there's none at Nagar. It's
No,
just
they're
it's just solid.
They're just cut in the concrete.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I stopped by Ronald Reagan actually on the way here tonight, so I mean I was able to physically see
them, yeah.
Actually, I think they're filled right now. It looks like, but they're sizable gaps. I mean, I would
Yeah,
understand.
they're like 2.5 inches or 3 inches. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
exact. Any other questions?
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
So it appears the different groups use both rinks at different times, and I was just wondering if you could elaborate on, is that based on demand? One rink is busy, so they'll reserve another one? Or...
Yeah, I can offer you some history on that. So as I said earlier, the Reagan used to be the primary home court, or rink, excuse me, I gotta get the sport right, of TIVA. And then COVID shut everything down. And last fall, we were only allowed to bring back youth sports for certain practice training that was heavily restricted as far as what could be done, but we couldn't bring back adult sports. So because of that, and think of it as, for the last year at that point, or 9 months, no one had been using either rink. So I got a request from TIVA to use Margarita as their primary point of use, just because of less traffic, less crowds, due to the pump track and the skate park being located at the Reagan rink, or right adjacent to it. So what happened is once the Rhinetown Rollers were able to come back in June, at that point, the only rink that we had space at was at Reagan. So naturally, just because of what happened with COVID and availability and then restrictions regarding age groups that were allowed to play, that facilitated the swap of TIVA going primarily towards Nagar and Winetown Rollers going to strictly Reagan. And that's why. Yeah. And then just historically, just to add in, the reason why Temecula Valley Lacrosse always used Margarita also was because Reagan was being used almost 6 days a week by TIVA. So it was it was Nagar back then, prior to COVID, that was far more available.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a clarification on if what we're doing now is recoding, and then the other option is to completely resurface, so to tear it out and do a complete pour with no expansion joints, similar to Nagar. And I just wanted to just clarify that there is no middle ground there, other solutions. I'm sure Stacy's explored that.
Yeah.
But I just want to make that clear, that there is no other
If you look
option.
back, the one slide at the list of kind of the investment slide, I think right before the one you're looking at, you can see that when we recoat the expansion joints and cracks, it's around a $4,000 to $5,000 item. When we recoat the entire surface, it runs closer to $12,000 to $15,000.
Right.
And then this third, so there are kind of two levels there of sort of temporary fixes, and then this bigger one. But certainly, Stacy, by all means, if you would like to jump in, if there's anything we're missing here.
Yeah, the resurfacing is the completeness of crack repair too also, and then recoat the entire surface, so it's one uniform surface.
Okay, but so that clarifies. As long as you have the original expansion joints, you're going to continue to get cracking. You're going to continue to have to redo it. Okay.
This current repair that we're doing is just the expansion joints. That
Okay.
will last maybe 3 months, and then that cotton starts to come out.
Okay.
Use and temperature changes, expansion, contraction, that surfacing moving all the time, so it starts peeling out.
Okay. My last clarification is to Sergio mostly. So with the current volume that we have with these three major users, are we able to do a schedule at Nagar? Would we be able to handle that?
Yes, but it could not be done without some, each of the group kind of accepting that the reality of scheduling is going to have to be a little more creative.
Okay.
Both groups, every sports group actually, regardless of the sport, regardless of the field, rink, everyone likes the prime time of like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. When we actually start reserving our rinks and our fields and so on and so forth from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. And most other user groups, whether it's baseball or soccer or football, they're asked to confine their practices to either 4 to 7, 7 to 10, or maybe just sometimes 4 to 6, or 6 to 8, or 8 to 10. So we could fit in all those groups at Nagar, but it will be difficult, and some of these groups will have to cut back some time. They're going to have to be, again, like I said, creative with having to share the location. Other groups have done it, so it's not impossible, but by no means would it necessarily be easy. But it's possible.
Okay. I'm sorry to keep going with this, but so is it just rumor that the I can't think of the group that does Winetown Rollers. Thank you. Is it just rumor that they're looking for another facility, or?
We have some Winetown rollers in the
Okay.
room, it looks like. Have you submitted public comment cards by any chance? Okay, great. I'm going to bend a rule here and just say, we saw a post on Facebook that you were looking for a new location. Would you?
Only because of the issues that arose at Ronald Reagan. We would
Okay.
love to stay
Okay.
either Margarita or Ronald Reagan if it's possible. We were just putting feelers out there for other options if it came down to it that we could not stage. And
Gotcha.
we can't share one rink with hockey. It won't work.
Okay, thanks for, and you'll have time to do your public comments as well, but thank you. I didn't want to go down the rumor mill road any further, and since we have the people
Thank you.
here, they can.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah,
say
thank you
I
for-
saw it online.
Okay, that's fine. And then just the very last thing, have we had discussions with hockey about, the last time they came to visit with us, their numbers had been declining quite a bit. Are they building back up, or are they in a decline, or are they just holding
That's
steady?
another question. I mean, I'm sure that some people are definitely going to speak
Okay.
from TIVA. They might be able to answer that question.
Okay.
Because these are rental groups, we don't verify their participant numbers, their residency versus non-residency. We only do that with the recognized youth recreation leagues, so it's hard to say, but maybe one of them can speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank Sergio and James and Stacy for meeting me out at the rink last week, so I could physically see what the concerns are. I did want to mention, I don't think you guys mentioned, but it's really obvious on this aerial photo, the large crack going from quarter court all the way to the other end. So I assume that is also another maintenance issue that needs to be taken in consideration, filling that crack in.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but is there no way we could go back to that slide? If at all possible. If not, we saw that the expansion joints were circled.
Yeah.
But if you look closely, you can see on the right side of the rink, you do see a crack going actually from the first expansion joint all the way to the back end of the rink. It's faint, but you can see it. And I believe that also is caused by the same issues of the settling, whether it heats up, cools down, it rises and it falls
Okay.
accordingly.
A question that I have is, outside of our rental groups, what does the usage look like of the hockey rinks? Do we have any figures? Do we know how many families, kids are coming there outside of the rental groups to practice, to play?
Yeah. Based on the observation of myself when I was a park ranger and out in the field every day, and the current park rangers, or back when we had skate park staff there, it's pretty low. There aren't a lot of people coming and going. Maybe I would estimate between like 5 to 8 a day. And a good portion of the time, it's just skaters skating up there. But on occasion, you will see, like just last week we saw, I believe that was a different visit. Sorry. We saw just two boys pull out some hockey sticks and a ball, and we're just shooting it around. So the public does use it outside of our rental groups, but not as much as we'd like to see.
Do we have an idea how much usage outside of the rental groups there is for Nagar? Like,
It's the
are they
same.
using one more than the other?
No, I would say it's
Okay.
the same.
Similar?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
say it's the same.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, if that concludes the questions, I want to thank you guys
Oh,
for
it
giving me the
doesn't.
opportunity. It doesn't? Yeah, more?
No, I have one question for
Sure.
you, Sergio. Thank you.
I don't know why. I would move that direction. I thought we'd already, sorry about that.
No, it's the fate of the chair. You have to go last after everybody else.
Yeah.
But so you had mentioned that I think it was TIVA was a recognized youth league and now they're a rental league.
Yeah.
Can you kind
Yeah,
of
so
elaborate?
going back, I want to say maybe the late 90s or the early 2000s, they were so going back to the late 90s, just to give you some history on this, there was a Boys and Girls Club Hockey League, and then there was Temecula Valley Inline Hockey Association. Very soon, like by the early 2000s, the Boys and Girls Club Hockey League went defunct, and the TIVA became the only hockey league, not only in town, but really in the area. And they applied for and got recognized youth league status. And then over the years, kind of by oversight of staff and us not staying on top of it, we neglected to notice that their numbers were going down and that their residency was no longer meeting the 80% tile rule that we have. And if you guys need any more further clarification on our sports criteria, I do have some slides that are in the notes section of the presentation that you guys can see how it breaks down. But more or less, to be a recognized youth recreation league, you have to have over 200 or over participants. 80% of them have to be Temecula residents, and actually have to be like Temecula residents, not just have a Temecula mailing address, because there's some places that have that, but they aren't paying the taxes that residents pay. And then the other thing is that the board has to be also at least 80%. So because of our unique factor that we have, not only one, but 2 hockey rinks, and TIVA providing the service to the region, they took on more and more non-residents and then fell out of that. And we went through a process of about 2 or 3 years where we slowly transitioned them to that, to the rental status, and that just kind of gives you some background on that. I believe we've firmly converted them to rental status starting in January of 2019. Yeah.
Great. Appreciate the background on that.
No problem.
Any additional questions at this stage? So should we go to the public comments?
Yes, we should.
All right, do we need to reread anything?
Thank you, Sergio. No, you don't.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Sergio.
Okay, so we have 15 public speakers this evening with 1 emailed comment, which I will read at the end.
Okay.
So our first speaker is Brittany Beauchamp, to be followed by Kathy Fink.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Beecham, also known as Baby Crack Ribs. I am representing Temecula's only derby league, the Winetown Rollers. Founded in 2013, the Winetown Rollers are a nonprofit group of over 100 women and children, bringing the sport of roller derby to Temecula. We are teachers, we are nurses, we are mothers, grandmothers, students, and small business owners, and much, much more. We have practiced at Margarita Community Park since inception in 2013, until moving to Ronald Reagan Sports Park due to Margarita being booked when practices resumed after COVID numbers decreased. We loved Margarita, and we only moved because we had to. We have maintained a positive working relationship with the city of Temecula, and our league works hard to give back to the community. Our league has grown exponentially in the last few months, and we anticipate it to grow even more in the near future as roller derby is being considered for the 2024 Olympics. As we have always represented Temecula, the Winetown Rollers would love to stay local and be supported by the city. Temecula Valley Inline Hockey Association also utilizes the city's facilities. As 2 growing organizations, it is impossible to accommodate us on 1 rink. Even with 2, it is a tight fit. All we are asking is for the rink at Reagan Sports Park to be kept in good working condition, whether it be refinished or redone completely, so we can stay in Temecula and not have to find a new home. We want to be able to continue to make Temecula proud by inspiring and empowering its citizens through the sport of roller derby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, our next speaker will be Kathy Fink, to be followed by Grant Garcia.
Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Fink, and I've been a resident of Temecula since 1999, so I've seen a lot of change. And I've been lucky enough to meet and work with several commissioners and council members over the years, and I'm thankful to each and every one of you for what you do on a daily basis to make sure that our community has all of these wonderful parks and recreation and buildings to use. So thank you for all that hard work. I know sometimes it's probably not real thankful. So But we're here tonight not to complain, not to get mad, but to share with you what the Ronald Reagan Sports Park rink and the Nagar rink means to TIVA and to our community here in Temecula. TIVA is only one of several groups who utilize the rink, but this presentation is going to focus primarily on the hockey and what it brings to our families here in Temecula. Is this not working by chance?
That is not working, but I believe they said if you hold something up. Is
To
that
it,
right?
it will? Okay.
So if you hold it up, this camera here will
Oh.
will do its best to focus in on you, so.
Actually,
They
here's
said
what I'll
hold really
do.
still, and they'll try and focus in.
Can
and
I
again-
approach and? You can pass. These are pictures of all the presentation. We have a lot of children that are going to be presenting to you tonight. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about the kids, right? TIVA is a 18 and under group. We do not have an adult league that I believe. Have we started one? No. It's all about the kids. So that's why I felt, and I think the board felt, it was really important that we have the kids come and talk to you about what their experience is and what the rinks mean to them. Both of my children played hockey here. They're both adults now. Each had the opportunity to not only play, but also work at the rink as rink setup, scorekeepers, announcers, and even referees. One was even given the opportunity to play for Team USA in France with the junior women. It was pretty cool. Silver, Spain took us out, but it's okay. While both of my kids are adults now, this rink has given so much to my family, and I want to do whatever it takes to ensure it continues to provide the experience and growth opportunities for many families to come. We have some players who will be presenting their experience to you tonight, and hope that after their comments, you see that the rink provides more than just hockey to our community. Real quick, I just want to address some of the things that were discussed in Sergio's presentation. In Temecula, there's no other options for hockey but these two rinks. There are many, many fields for soccer, baseball, football, many, because you include the schools, they allow them to use their fields, but hockey has just these two rinks. I firmly believe that hockey would be way more popular in Temecula if we had more rinks, because then we'd be able to accommodate the number. A lot of our families travel to Corona and to Escondido to play because they have more facilities and more flexibility. A lot of the rinks don't get used during the day simply because it's too hot. You put those kids and all that equipment out there in 100, even 90 degrees, and it's just too much for them. So that's why primarily the rentals are done in the evenings for the rinks. One thing about the budget, I saw that there was $57,000 or so spent over 10 years to maintain the rinks, and I think maybe a comparison to what is spent over those 10 years on all the fields that are being used by our baseball, football, soccer, and all the other teams. So I think in comparison, it's probably pretty low. But that's all I really have to say. I am super excited to have a bunch of our players come and present different aspects of the league to you so that you can see that, again, it's much more than just hockey.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Grant Garcia. I'm here tonight to share with my experience playing hockey in Temecula and to let you know why the rink is so important to our community. But I am 9 years old. I have played hockey here in Temecula for 3 seasons/years. I want to tell you about the different leagues TIVA provides and what it's like to play. I have been able to play for both my school, Tony Tobin, which was super cool, and the last 3 years in the rec league, beginning recognizing in front of my school was my school for playing hockey was awesome. I have two brothers who play sports, and driving to Corona or Escondido would make it really hard to keep playing hockey. We need two rinks to be able to do this. I have met some of my best friends at Ronald Reagan. I hope we can work together to keep Ronald Reagan open so other kids can learn about hockey, play for their school, and hopefully meet their best friends too.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dylan Bilek, to be followed by Matthew McCaffrey.
Hello, my name is Dylan and I'm 16 years old and I've been playing TIVA for 9 years. I've done it all in TIVA recreational league, school league, clinics, Ironman tournaments, rain games. I've coached, been a scorekeeper, and I'm currently a referee, but today I'm going to speak to you about the Warriors, our travel teams. I have been playing Warriors for 7 years with my dad as my coach. The experience has been amazing. Our teams have played in tons of tournaments throughout Southern California. We have also played in San Jose, Sonora, Indiana, Michigan, and Missouri. We have played teams from Southern California, Northern California, Arizona, Oregon, Colorado, Texas, North Carolina, Virginia, Missouri, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Tennessee, Wisconsin, and Hawaii. We have played teams from Canada, Mexico, Colombia, Spain, England, France, and Namibia. We have participated in the AAU Junior Olympics, tours events, North American Roller Hockey Championships, and my team just returned from 10 days in Missouri at the State Wars tournament. At State Wars, we had 3 Warriors teams compete, and my dad coached all of them. Our 2006 team finished second in the AAA, the highest division. My 2005 team also finished second in the AAA division, and my 2004 team finished third in the AAA division. We did quite well for a group of kids that started on a concrete roller rink in Temecula. On a personal note, I won the top scorer award in the 2005 AAA division and was given a Team America jersey for making the all-tournament team in our age group. The tournament and trip was the most fun I've ever had with my friends on and off the rink. I fear that if we lose the Ronald Reagan rink, the same opportunities I have won't be available to our next group of Warrior players. I pray that you help us find a solution to the problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Matthew McCaffrey, to be followed by Cameron Cox.
Hi, my name is Cameron Cox, and I'm 16 years old, and I've been playing hockey for 5 years. I am speaking on behalf of myself and my brother and my sister, who also play in the league. I want to talk about the safety of the sport, how we involve families, and what it means to us. TIVA strives to ensure the safety of all players, coaches, and referees. AAU insurance is required. Proper pads and equipment in good working order is required and checked before every game. Hockey has been a huge part of our life, and it is important to my whole family. My dad and uncle coach, and my mom is the registration coordinator for TIVA. We have enjoyed being a part of the league and are thankful that we have rinks for us to come together to play the sport we all love. It has been a place for us to learn new skills, keep us exercising, make new friends, and make everlasting memories. We would love to make sure that we keep our rinks so that we are able to continue with our hockey journey. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to our next speaker, which is Benjamin Thatcher, to be followed by Max Cooper.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Thatcher, and I am 10 years old, and I am going into my 4th season with the TIVA League. I joined TIVA when I first saw my cousins play in the league, and I want to play hockey just like them. Playing in the TIVA League has taught me a lot about sportsmanship, such as shaking hands after games, thanking the referees, and treating people part of a collective hockey family. TIVA has also given me the opportunity to give back to the league. This summer, I was asked to assist running clinics for the 6 and 8-year-old players. This sparked a new interest in becoming a hockey coach for the league. I also played hockey at another rink in another city, but that shut down during COVID. So when I was ready to come out of quarantine and play hockey again, Tiva was there to help me get back playing the game that I love. I played my first ever hockey game at the Ronald Reagan rink, so you closing this rink will mean a personal loss to both me and my family. I urge you to please reconsider closing this rink. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Max Cooper. I am 11 years old and I've been playing hockey since I was 7.5. Hockey has been my life for the past couple of years. I've been playing for a while, and it all started when I started playing in a summer clinic at Ronald Reagan. I did the summer clinic and to see if I would like it or not. I ended up liking it, so I ended up doing the spring and the fall season. I liked it so much that I tried joining the Warriors team, and I ended up making it. Tiva invites the Ontario Raindown in the summer clinics to come help us and gain our confidence. Gaining our confidence helps us in our everyday life and hockey. Why we should have 2 rinks is because if we only have one, it will be really hard to play games. We won't be able to practice as much. It will be harder for us to try to get as good as we want to be so we can be professionals. If we don't have 2 rinks, then it will be really hard. But if we have 2 rinks, then we can practice more and we can try to be as good as we can. Thank you for letting me have some time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Braden Lotspeach and I'm 9 years old. I've been playing inline hockey through Tiva for the last 3 years. When I started playing hockey, I was a brand new skater and I immediately grew a love for playing. Through the years and my time playing with Tiva, my skills have improved so much. Last year, I was able to play on the club team, the Temecula Warriors, which I wouldn't have the skills for if it wasn't for Tiva. I love playing hockey so much that when I am not at the rink, I'm at home with my net on my driveway practicing. I look forward to practice and my games all week. Without the rink here in Temecula, my parents would have to drive me to Corona or Escondido. Both rinks are so far from my house, and both my parents work full-time, so I would have to quit hockey if I can't keep playing in Temecula. Please consider anything you can do to keep the rink open.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Monica and Kenny Silhan, to be followed by Mike Betch.
I'm going to come up mostly just because I think a lot of things that the kids have pointed on, my son would either reiterate or have his own things to say. Okay. He usually does. I do have some things to add to fill in. One, along with some of these other sports, for LA Olympics coming up in 2028, there's a petition to try to get roller hockey as an Olympic sport. A lot of kids in this area tonight would be able to qualify for that as they keep going, because the Temecula Warriors is creating a pathway for kids to really be able to compete at a very high level. Again, Temecula Warriors went to State Wars. It's a very big hockey tournament, and placed silver or bronze in extremely competitive hockey with groups that get to play in rinks that are fully funded. They're sponsored by insurance companies. Temecula Warriors did very good. You guys would be very proud. One, also too, that a lot of these kids get community service hours and they get their first-time jobs working at the Ronald Reagan rink, doing either refereeing, scorekeeping, or just cleanup, again, community service hours, doing something they love and giving back to their younger counterparts. Also, too, I think, the kids have really put a lot of hard work utilizing a facility that is concrete and not sport court, which has not, I don't think, been brought up once tonight. And that's something, the concrete eats up hockey gear and hockey sticks. Us parents are more than happy to pay for that additional equipment, with the rink that it is. We don't have a problem with that. If that's the way the rinks have to remain, we will continue to do that happily. But it does kind of, again, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that could point on sport court as a surface potential. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how it goes over the concrete, but one consideration is maybe to take Ronald Reagan and have a sport court, which is a tile that is an interlocking tile that goes over the surface. Maybe keep Ronald Reagan as a sport court rink, which is more competitive for the world of roller hockey, and keep Margarita as the surface that it is now, because, again, I don't want to speak upon the roller derby, but that might be a better surface for them. So that's just something to throw out there, maybe looking into sport court tiles. And then also, something too that I feel is very important is what you see today in this community, here in this building today, is easily 1/100th, I don't know, maybe 1/1000th of what has really been representative of TIVA over the years. You guys may not recognize it, you may not see it, you may not be, paying attention because your kids don't play hockey or you don't have family or friends who play hockey, but it is bigger than you may really realize. So please open your eyes to that. And one, also too, declining members. It is very hard to keep members when we don't have sport court. That's something that they can get in Corona and Escondido. So members of the Temecula community are having to go outside far, and they lose their opportunities to play hockey when their parents can't take them down to Corona or Escondido. So again, the sport court might be something to look at for not just as a potential for resurfacing the rink, but also for bringing back more people into the membership. I'm sure for maybe even for the lacrosse, I'm not quite sure what kind of surface they use as well. And then also lastly, on the screen that was playing before the meeting started is just kind of like a reel where there's an aerial of footage of the city of Temecula. There was the city hall, there was the Old Town, the wineries, the duck pond. In that was the Ronald Reagan rink, front and center in one of those slides. So it is a very big part of the community for a lot of people, and maybe it just needs to be something that needs to be brought out more on the forefront and realize what it means to the Temecula community. So, thank you.
Thank you.
How's everybody? Good evening, everybody. My name's Mike Betch. I just want to say my kids have been playing Temecula Valley Youth Inline Hockey for several years. They started when they were 5 years old, and I would like to invite you all to come down there and actually see what the league's about. When you look in this room, it's very community-driven. And yeah, we don't have the 80% numbers that they're talking about from Temecula residents, and that's fine. But everybody in this room, they come from Temecula, Murrieta, Lake Elsinore, Menifee, wherever they come from, they drive here to go ahead and play youth hockey, which is actually pretty amazing. When you're talking about getting those people to drive down here, that just goes to show you how great our league is actually. It's probably the best roller hockey league in Southern California, all right? We also play middle school, we play high school. At that rink, our high school teams go down to Escondido, they go to Corona to play, and very routinely win the championships in those two areas as well. I know it's a numbers game, and I understand that because I spent 28 years in the Navy, brought ships through shipyard repair period, so I understand the numbers game. But if you really look here and what TIVA does for our community and our kids, it just goes to show you by, everybody being here. And we understand that. But I think it's a small price to pay when you have people come out in these kind of numbers to support a league that we're afraid something might happen and we don't have that opportunity to play. just want to say thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tom Bilek, to be followed by Caston Chamberlain.
I'm the president, so I'm wondering if maybe I should go last so I can answer any questions. It's up to you.
Yes, if the chair approves, then we will hold, and I invite Caston Chamberlain to speak.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. My name is Caston Chamberlain. I'm the sister of Cole Chamberlain, who many people here know. If you don't know, my brother was a very good hockey player. He played here. This is his jersey, just so you know. It doesn't really hold together well, but my point is, Cole Chamberlain Cup is named after my brother because he died in a car accident. He died on his way home from prom. Not much to say about that. Let's get to my point. Let's get to business. I served at MSJC as a student trustee. I know your job. I've had your job. I know what it's like to have these types of conversations. I know it's hard. I know there's a toss and turn. But I also know that people come from somewhere in positions like ours in leadership. And I know that I came from Cuba. You know, my brother, before he died, I played every night with my toys in the grass. I played in that little field you see back there. I had a lot of great memories. And once he died, I grieved for a good year. Destroyed me, but I came back and served this community. And this community is a family. And as people who serve the community and someone who did at a school, I'm begging you not to decommission this court, this hockey rink. This place is a family to many people and a place where I addressed my grief and became who I am today. And who I am today, someone who wants to be a leader in your position. I'm a community advocacy and social policy major at Arizona State University. And I very much so can thank Tiva for all that I've been able to accomplish. So if I was never able to address this grief, I wouldn't be able to be standing here, right here with you. So think about where you came from. Think about the community you serve. And one last note, I'm very proud of all these kids coming up to speak, because even for me, it is very nerve-wracking. So great job, everybody, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. For our next speaker, I'd like to invite James Chamberlain, to be followed by Don Moorer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is James Chamberlain, and I'm here tonight with my daughter, Caston, my wife, Jackie, and my son, Chase. As Caston mentioned, our son, Cole, passed away in 2012 when he was in this league. We've been in this league since 2006, and we continued to be in the league even after Cole passed away until 2016. My daughter and I, we coached together after he passed away, and my son, Chase, continued to play not only for TIBA, but as you heard earlier, TIBA also supports the local high schools. So he played for Marietta Valley High on the high school team. TIBA and the rink, roller hockey, or the Ronald Reagan roller hockey rink really means a lot to us. We're here representing the families, not only of everyone here in Temecula who plays and all these bright young kids who got up here and spoke to you today, but also the families that live outside of Temecula. I know a lot of kids as I was coaching who were outside of Temecula, who lived in Menifee or lived in Lake Elsinore, who couldn't make it, and I would pick them up and bring them to the rink as the coach of them. And this family that you see behind us is a big community. I see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while, but, you know, the moment I walked in and saw them, it was like we were just picked up at where we were, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. You know, the one thing I do want to say is I'm in a construction company. I'm a CFO for a construction company that builds gas stations for Costco. You know, and I know anything can be done. You know, Costco asked us to do things that I just think we could never get done and do stuff. So I know if this board puts its heads together and listens to everything that you hear, that you guys can figure out a way to keep this rink open. You know I heard earlier that, oh, you know, non-residents don't pay taxes and this and that, but our family comes to Temecula, to Old Town, all the time to eat and to shop, and it's because of, and to go to in and out after the games. It's because of the Temecula Valley and Hockey Association and our relationship with them is the reason why we always come back to Temecula to do a lot of our business. So just because we don't live here and the other people who play in the league don't live in Temecula, Temecula benefits from what you've heard of all the great things that happen, from the Warriors to the high school and to the youth learning how to be better citizens as they grow up. So please, don't let this rink close down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Jim, good seeing you again. Jim mentioned he started in 2006. I went to a board meeting and to see what TiVo was about in 2006, and Jim was there, and a guy named Art Rustin was there. Art's one of my best buddies now. TiVo means a lot to me and my family. I have 3 kids. They all played TiVo growing up. They're all aged out. I've been out of TiVo for 3 years, but I felt this was important to be here to talk about keeping these rinks open. We got a ton of soccer fields. We got a ton of basketball courts. We need to keep both these rinks open. My past time is with soccer. I've coached with Adam and I've coached with James, and we've got the fields there. We need the rinks. So again, people have talked about we have the brain power in here to make it happen, and we got a sport court. Great presentation on the sport court. That's what I was thinking all along. We can raise those boards, slip the sport court underneath. We could have indoor soccer. Invite teams, club teams to play there, charge them, whatever it takes. But I think we need to put our heads together and keep both these rinks open. One other thing I want to mention is a lot of these players who play roller hockey, they didn't fit into a category in baseball or soccer or basketball. When they put the skates on, they belong. They got the hockey bug, and they felt, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And you see them, they start young. My kids started young. They got on skates, and they loved it. They got their jerseys. They got the Ducks, the Kings. They got their favorite teams. And it just was it's a family. Like soccer, we have a family of soccer. We have a family here in Tiva. I'm 3 years out. Again, I don't need to be here. But it's very important that these kids have the rink. And as they say, if you build it, they will come. So let's try and get that second rink. Let's try and get it, have tournaments out here. Bring in revenue, bring in hotel money, food money. People come in. I've done a lot tournaments outside of here. Let's bring them in here. So anyways, great presentations, kids. And let's get this thing going. Thanks.
And thank you.
Okay, and for our last in-person speaker, Tom Bilek.
So my name's Tom Bilek. or Tom Bilek is actually how I pronounce it, but I'll go with Bilek, that's fine. I'm the league president for Tiva. I've been a volunteer in the league for 9 years. I'm in my 7th year on the board, and my 6th year, I was president for a few years, took a year off, and then I'm back as president. I'm also a Parks and Recreation. I have a degree in Parks and Recreation, so I know the importance of having programs for our children. The speakers before and after me explained the programs that we have, their experiences. I do want to touch on our rink usage. I didn't know Sergio would be presenting, but so some of the information I have is probably pretty close to his. In the 2021 spring season, we did use the rink 7 days a week. We had Margarita or Nagar Park Monday through Thursday. We are at Ronald Reagan Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we did have teams scheduled as early as 4 p.m. My high school teams practice at 4 p.m. The Great Oak High School team we had practice at 4 p.m. I know our treasurer, the team he coached, practice also at 4 p.m. So to fit all our groups and all of our teams in, we did start earlier. This season here in the fall, we play 10 games in 10 weeks. In the spring, we play 10 games in 8 weeks. So we've asked for 6 days of usage here in the fall. We have 19 teams playing, 196 kids signed up to play. I know we talked about the numbers. When I started as president, we had about 115 kids playing, and that's gradually gone up. And when I say 196, some of those kids are playing in the fall, but they don't play in the spring because they're playing another sport. And then there's kids that play other sports in the spring that we see in the fall. There's plenty of kids that come and play in the winter when we typically do our school league. That's a little bit more competitive, so we get some of the kids that maybe play some ice hockey and other sports as well. They come and play. So when I say we have 196, that's just kids signed up for this season, but there are many, many other families that come and participate. Losing the Ronald Reagan rink and half of our scheduled time would be devastating to our league. We need to cut back on valuable practice and game time, and/or we'd have to potentially, if you imagine this is our league, half the kids on this side, we'd have to ask them not to play. Because we couldn't do our services at the same point if we have the rink 3 days a week. And as other people have said, the only other option is Corona and Escondido. There's plenty of people that play in our league that aren't Temecula residents. I haven't looked to be for sure, but I'm going to guess about 125 of the 195, that's just a guesstimate, are probably Temecula residents. When we decided to become a non-user group, we decided, okay, we can take 50 of our kids and ask them not to play any longer, or we can pay the extra money that you, the city, have asked us to pay so that we don't have to turn kids away. The board had discussions. They didn't take very long. We didn't want to have the kids not have the opportunity to play, so that's why we chose not to be a Temecula youth user group. We figured we'd rather pay more money as a group, pay more money as an organization, and ask each family to pay more money to pay for those lights. That's why we don't have the status that we have. TIVA provides a great opportunity for the kids to learn about the game of hockey, sportsmanship, making new friends. We provide opportunities for high school kids to volunteer and earn service hours. We provide many of our kids their first jobs as scorekeepers and referees. I can go on about, and I only get 5 minutes, about the wonderful organization that TIVA is, but the bottom line is our league will do whatever we can to assist the city in fixing the rink and keeping Ronald Reagan open. I'm already looking into sport court. Monica brought up sport court. I've gotten bids for $60,000 and $80,000. Those are options that could be used. Basically, I think what you would have to do is probably grind down those expansion joints, pick up the boards, and you'd slide tiles over the rink. That's an option. I've spoken to our rink manager. He has thoughts on other more flexible epoxy that we can put in that maybe will expand and contract a little bit better due to the heat. A cover could also potentially help what happens. I know everything comes down to money, but I believe there's options. I don't think it's as cut and dry as tear it down and decide whether you want to pay $450,000. I think Jim's a contractor. We have other people that are contractors. I think if we get a group together and discuss different options, we can hopefully come up with a solution that works. I just ask that you please don't give up on our league and don't give up on our rink, because we do. We need 2 rinks. We feel that there are opportunities there are opportunities for rink repairs or sport court, other things that we can look into. And as far as user groups, I expect our numbers to continue to go up. We have a great group. The friends talk to other friends. So I expect our group to continue to slowly go up in numbers. I know my son plays high school lacrosse. Lacrosse is a sport that's going crazy right now. So I expect box lacrosse, another user group, to get their numbers higher. And the Winetown Rollers, getting to know their ladies, they get to know some of those ladies. They've got great personalities. They're passionate about their sport, so I fully expect that to go up as well. So trying to accommodate all the user groups in one rink, I believe it's gonna be impossible. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, but that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Okay, and I would just like to read one emailed comment, and that'll conclude our comments.
Let's do it.
My name is Abigail Armentano. I am 11 years old. I am a hockey player for Temecula Valley Inline Hockey Association. I have heard that some citizens of Temecula want to get rid of the Ronald Reagan hockey rink. I disagree with that. Kids get good exercise and they have so much fun playing hockey. Me and my brother Samuel learned how to play hockey at the Ronald Reagan rink. Kids also make friends while playing hockey. I play hockey because I want to show girls that they can do anything. Some girls think that hockey is a quote-unquote boys' sport. I want to show them that girls can do anything, especially when they think they can't do. I love being a hockey player in Temecula, and I'm afraid that our league won't be able to operate with just one rink. Please keep the Ronald Reagan rink. Thank you, Abigail.
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone tonight. It's awesome to see the room filled, number one, for the first time in many years. Second of all, I am so impressed, and I think I speak for everyone here, at the power of the kids who have come up. I mean, I'm just so impressed that some of them didn't even have notes. They spoke from the heart. I think it's clear that everybody who's come up to speak tonight has a lot of passion for the sport, for all the various sports that use the rinks. I know I learned a lot tonight about, concrete courts and sport courts, and I mean, there's a ton of information. And before, I sort of, open it up to any additional questions that the commission has, just a reminder, we won't be making any decisions tonight. I don't think that that there is a decision or recommendation to close. I mean, this is really all about gathering the information, having the discussions. A lot of stuff's been brought up tonight that I know. I mean, I furiously scrawling notes. I think everybody else here is as well. And so really the next step here is to have the conversation here, pass along our feedback to the subcommittee. And that subcommittee, by the way, is also a publicly noticed meeting. So you guys will have the opportunity to go and address the subcommittee when that meeting is scheduled. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank all of the youth for coming out and the adults, the parents, having been in youth sports, myself, and I think many of us can say, there's a lot of passion and everybody wants to do the right thing for the kids. So 100%, we are on that same wavelength. So additional discussion.
Chair Levine, if I could just clarify one thing. As the chairman explained, there's no decision being made today. I also want to clarify there was some, I think, maybe confusion that this was going before council on August 24th. This item is not agendized for council. It is not currently on any agenda for council. And before it would go to council, it would return to the subcommittee, as the chairman mentioned.
All right. So additional comments, questions? So let's start with Commissioner Krastevsky.
So are we to make recommendations for the subcommittee of things that they should consider?
I think at this point the recommendation is that it return to subcommittee, but if you have recommendations for staff for things that we should be looking into, considering, investigating, we will take those at this time.
Sure. I mean, I guess I would recommend to staff to look into the sport court option. I work for the city of Escondido, and I know that that is a solution that we have over there. And I mean, if it draws even more people, I think it's worth looking into. I know in 2006, the city spent $150,000 on replacing the wall boards. So, I mean, if sport courts cost half that price, it's definitely worth looking into. So that's my only recommendation for staff is let's take a deeper look into this option. Thank you.
Will do.
So do you work with Pat over there? Pat Martinez?
I do, yeah.
I hope to talk to Pat on Wednesday about what you guys did down in Escondido.
Okay, thank you.
And just a reminder, we can't actually have
Okay.
the conversation with the public. Sorry. Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you. So I wrote down a couple of notes. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I mean, I think our chairman said it best earlier, but you know, today's environment is so much, something happens on Facebook and social media and you just hear everything there. And then when the response is, hey, come out, we want to hear from you, we don't have that. I responded to a couple of messages in 2 different places inviting people to come out, and you guys are here. You know, and that means a lot to me. It shows how much really you guys do care about this, because there's been a lot of information shared. I am a huge advocate for youth sports. I've coached primarily soccer, but I've done basketball as well for many years, and I think sports stand for a lot more than even what's taught just on the court or on the field. So understand that, number one. I do think that hockey in our area is has a different challenge than others, just being that this is the only spot for a rink. You know, it's not like, hey, if Temecula were to shut down, cool, I'll just jump over to Murrieta, I'll jump over to Menifee, like Elsinore. When we're talking some substantial distance here, we know traffic's not necessarily getting any better, and those commute times just become, you know, hindering for families to be able to give their children opportunities. I would agree with Commissioner Kristevsky. I would like to see the subcommittee look at, you know, whether it's sport court covers, I mean, any of the different ideas that we're here throwing out, and maybe working directly with these leagues or neighboring cities, if Escondido's willing to, if Corona's willing to. I know we've got great working relationships, you know, amongst our local cities to find out some options that they have to really look at everything. You know, cost unfortunately seems extravagant, you know, and I think a lot of that happens, you know, with cities and government contracts and all that. I mean, looking at, if we're talking a 2-inch gap in an expansion joint 80 feet long times 3 costs $5,000, I'm in the wrong business. I need to be doing something else there. So, I mean, I appreciate the input, and I know there's some construction workers out here and maybe getting some of those. Just understand those bids may not become applicable for what we're looking for here, but I still think it's important that we do really look at all of those options. For my colleagues and staff here as well, Temecula has done, I think, a fantastic job over the years of investing back in its community. Sports bring people in, whether it's for recreation, whether it's for travel, whether it's for tournaments, and it's very difficult. I've had these conversations in the past with James and Sergio about the economic impact of what a sporting event has, and looking at even some of the residency. And I understand the challenges with that, but if someone from Murrieta does happen to come over with their family, play a game, someone mentioned In-N-Out. I know that's a big soccer favorite, but I mean, money is spent. You know, people are traveling from, you know, even if they're coming from, say, Lake Elsinore, and they happen to maybe put gas or hit the shopping mall or head into Old Town because they're just here for it. So there is a lot of that to look at. Our community's invested a lot lately. The big hot topic sport has been pickleball. And, you know, you can't mention anything without where's the new pickleball courts. And, you know, it's fantastic. To me, it seems like we've got a hidden family of sports that we haven't really realized. I mean, to hear that we have, you know, some competitive people going out to tournaments, competing at the top level with Temecula on their jersey, that's fantastic. It makes me very proud to be, you know, a Temecula resident and know that we're being represented in that. We're doing a lot of the park renovations right now, which are needed, and they're beautiful, and our residents appreciate that. But I think we have an opportunity here to look at something that's been a big staple, a big part of our community. And I know we're not making that decision tonight, but when I first heard about, you know, are we going to take this away, I think that's extremely difficult. Sergio's comment earlier about is it possible to get, you know, something down on one? I'm sure anything's possible, but it's not necessarily practical. And we felt this, and I've worked with Sergio and James over the years, Don as well, you know, from Soccer Point. And if we limit the amount of time that's available, what we're really limiting is the time for the athletes to develop into what could be their full potential. So while one may be able to work out, it's definitely, I don't think, ideal for anybody. And hearing the growth and the opportunities that are presented here. And I do sit here and ask myself, would hockey be, in a perfect world, right, we'd have the Olympic swim, we'd have the big hockey rink, I mean, we'd have everything. There's no doubt right now that we have a shortage of just about every sports field out there. But if we had a newer state-of-the-art or something that was a little bit more, constructed for longevity, would that even attract more players in? And I'd be curious to know kind of where all the families are coming from. So I think it's definitely demonstrated here that there is a need, that this is something that's not just used by a couple of kids here and there. It's an important part of our community, and I would just encourage the subcommittee and any feedback that we can have, and if you guys are watching the video back, just to really look at all of the different options, work with the league, work with the other user groups to find out what we may be able to do so that we can keep this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Adi.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to start to apologize to Winetown Rollers for forgetting your name earlier. Actually, my daughter skates derby a little bit down in San Diego, so it's great sport, and I'm sorry about that. I want to thank all of you, especially the kids that came out to speak tonight. No matter which way this goes, you know that we're listening to you. You can hear the two commissioners already, making some great recommendations to our subcommittee. And I think it's just really inspiring to see you come and get involved in government. And this is the way government works, and we're listening to you. We can't listen to you if you don't get involved. So if you get anything out of tonight, just stay involved. Keep doing this. You said some things that really helped us out tonight to look at some possible solutions for you. I want to talk to Caston real quick. Caston, keep at it. And when you're done with college, come back to Temecula so you can get involved in leadership here. Okay? Keep being a leader. Great job tonight. I agree with everything that the commissioners have said about the recommendations, and mostly to have the subcommittee and staff look at those options and be creative with some of these options, and maybe they don't work, but let's explore those, and I'll be anxious to hear as they come back to us with whatever they find. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Sizemore.
Thank you, Commissioner Levine, and thank you to everybody who came out tonight to speak with us. Very impressed with all of your children's public speaking skills, just getting up there and sharing from their heart and telling us what inline hockey means to them in your league. I had never heard of the league before. I kind of knew it had some rinks, but I didn't know a whole lot about inline hockey, and now I know a lot more, and I appreciate that. I have kids, some of you talked about kids that don't quite fit into the sports and they're not into this. I have those kids. I have kids that are in Boy Scouts, and I have kids in competitive robotics. Those are your kids, just like you said. They aren't in soccer, but they found their niche and they found their passion, and you want to encourage them in that. So I appreciated that. If I could make recommendations to the subcommittee, I would love to see them look into the sport court. I think my only concern of sport court, just kind of what I'm hearing about tiles, is the security aspect out there. If we're going to go in line with something like that, we really need to consider up in the security or something so that they're not going to be vandalized, picked up, and taken off, because unfortunately we've been involved in other activities where that tends to happen. If it's not nailed down and just permanently affixed, it walks away. And I would encourage the subcommittee to reach out to TIVA, work out with the volunteers. They knows this sport better than we do, and they may have some great ideas. The very existence of Ronald Reagan Sports Park came about because of volunteer effort. People in our community that had a can-do attitude that wanted a sports park, and they got it done. So I'd suggest in that same spirit, we reach out to those volunteers to see if they can help come up with a solution for this. And to the public, I would encourage you, show up like this for us to the other cities. Show up to Murrieta with the same, same passion. Show up to Lake Elsinore. Let's get some more hockey rinks built in this community so that we're not traveling back and forth on the freeway, and we can grow this league, because it sounds like you guys are doing amazing things. I'd like to see more of it. Thank you.
Yeah, and finally, I can't disagree with anything that I've heard here. Appreciate all of the input that you guys have had, the passion that we've heard tonight, the ideas, the broader, notions about what this means to our community, to our civic pride, people going to, the Olympics potentially, and certainly AAU and other competitions nationally and internationally. So awesome. And you hit on something, Commissioner Sizemore, so Temecula has been shouldering this for such a long time, and, we're the first and we're the best, I like to say. And I think we should definitely continue, but I also think that, there's an opportunity for some of our other civic neighbors to look into some of these things as well. So I would definitely echo that suggestion. And so, Director Erica, where do we go from here?
So staff will begin pulling together some information. We had looked very, very preliminarily, because this came up so quickly, at Sport Court, and one of the concerns was, because it's an uncovered rink, was UV stabilization and longevity. But obviously, there's a lot more to look into there, so we're more than happy to take this back. Staff will start doing that research, and then we will approach the subcommittee and see when they want to reconvene. And it will probably take, I can't commit to anything. Anything I say here is speaking out of turn. I would say it would be probably at least a month before we'd be able to bring this back, just based on, yes?
And
Sorry, on that note, because we haven't encouraged them to come out to the subcommittee meeting, can you just let them know how they would be notified? I know it's publicly listed
100%.
on the website, but just so that they're aware of how to attend.
Right, so it is a public meeting, and all of our public meetings are noticed on our website. All of the agendas are posted in 72 hours, I believe, in advance. But I understand that you're all very busy. The city has a lot going on. It's not like you're going to be, I'm not checking the website every day to see what's up. So I believe between Sergio and James, we have contacts for all of the organizations. Certainly, Tom and I have spoken as well. So with those contacts, we can just reach out and notify them when it comes forward. If any of you are concerned that you would not be reached through either Winetown Rollers, TIVA, or Box Lacrosse, or any of the other organizations through Sergio and James, feel free to leave your contact information with Secretary Tracy Courts, and we will make sure you're on a contact list as well for that.
And I would just encourage you guys, if you're able to attend in person, to submit those comments. If you can't attend in person, submit the email. I mean, this presence is powerful for us to be able to hear. And I have full confidence that the subcommittee will take into consideration our comments and your comments that are made tonight. But if that meeting is not attended by anybody else and they've got nothing else to fall back on, that just doesn't have the same impact. So I would just really encourage you guys to make your best, best intention of either attending in person or submitting those comments online so that the subcommittee can hear directly from you as well.
If there's one thing I can just add to that, I would hope that if this evening has done nothing, it has reinforced how apparent it is that the city does take feedback very, very seriously. I know there were some concerns early on that maybe this was just, lip service, but I hope that what these commissioners have done this evening has really demonstrated that they do listen. They really are open to feedback from the community, not just open, but we welcome it, so.
Yeah, there are no final decisions here tonight. Lots of good input, and thank you all. And I encourage you to stay for the rest of our program this evening.
You're all probably going to In-N-Out right now.
Oh, wait, was it something I said?
So who's buying In-N-Out? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Your night's going to get a little shorter now.
Thank you guys very much. We'll roll on as soon as we clear chambers. What happened? Oh, no kidding?
You crushed it. Good job.
You know, if you just want to give it to Tracy, she'll make sure that it gets it.
Yes, if you just give anything to the secretary, she'll take care of that.
Thanks again, everybody. All right, so we have 3 more items to discuss. The next item up is update on staff recommendations for the mini pump tracks.
Yes, and if it's okay with the chair, the next 3 items I have in a single PowerPoint. So if that's okay, since they're all, let's see, are they all discuss
Proceed.
items or are they receiving? I think they're discuss items. Perfect, great. Sorry, I can't even get back to my actual agenda. Okay, great. So you have in front of you this. Perfect. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint we'll be working through. For those of you in the audience, again, we have technical difficulties. So what you're seeing up there, normally they can see on their screens, but because of the issues we're having, they can't see them. So, next slide, please, Erin. Great, so we have 3 agenda items we're going to tackle, just 1, 2, 3 in this PowerPoint. The first one has to do with locations of mini pump tracks. The second one is locations of pickleball courts. And the third one is just an overview of the playground renovation process. Next slide, please. Thank you. One more. Okay, so the first item with the mini pump tracks. For those of you who aren't familiar, every year the city passes a 5-year capital improvement program, which contains a bunch of projects that can last anywhere from less than 1 year to 5 full years. Within that program, there are a bunch of projects. Those are called CIPs, capital improvement projects. That's what this is referring to. So the capital improvement project for the mini pump tracks allocated $200,000 in funding, all from Measure S. Staff estimates that that will completely fund the construction of 2 mini pump tracks. However, due to the fact that we need to kind of fit both of those under that cap, we'll start with 1, we'll see how it goes, and at the end, see what's left over and what we can do with the remaining funds. So for that reason, the 2 mini pump tracks most likely will be constructed in series and not in parallel. It will take approximately 12 months total project time to complete, and the timeline obviously is in part dependent upon the availability of the contractor. Some of this is because the contractor we work with, this is a fairly specialized project, and the contractor we work with is not local. So in order to capitalize on whatever cost savings we can, we wait for them to schedule other projects in this region, so then they're able to kind of line up their projects and we get a better deal. Next slide, please. When staff was looking at where they would recommend placing these 2 pump tracks, we printed out aerials, thanks to Aaron actually, who's in the back there helping us out with this. We had him provide aerial shots of every single park. We have 41 parks in Temecula. We took aerials of every one, and we looked at the park, the layout, what other amenities were there, where it was located relative to other parks in the city, the connectivity in terms of trails and roads, access to things like parking, utilities, restrooms, the terrain. And after considering all of that, staff came to two recommendations, Long Canyon Creek Park and Wolf Creek Park. Next slide, please. Those are those two red squares you see, one at the north end of town, one at the south end of town. Right in the middle of town, of course, is Ronald Reagan Sports Park, which is where we currently have our full-size pump track, which was the site of the very exciting Velo Solutions qualifier on Saturday. I don't know if any of you had the chance to check that out, but it was a really, really exciting event. And our first mini pump track as well, which was really gratifying for me on Saturday to be there and see little kids riding on that thing. I mean, it's adorable. So for that reason, one of the main considerations was distribution of the amenities throughout the city so that, especially given traffic, and given the fact that we like people to be able to access these amenities maybe without even driving, just in the neighborhood, being able to walk there, being able to ride their bikes there. These are the two sites we're recommending for this. Next slide, please. This is an aerial of Wolf Creek Park. This is over more on the south end of town, closer to Great Oak High School. The little red square you see, this is not an ideal slide, but a little red square with the little green and blue squiggle in it, that represents the size of a mini pump track. This is not necessarily where we would say we should locate it in the park. This is just to give you an idea of how much space it would take up. It's just for scale. Next slide, please. And this is the same thing at Long Canyon Creek Park. Long Canyon is right off of General Kearney Road, just east of the mall, more or less adjacent to Meadowview. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, let's go back just one, if we could. One more, please. Thank you very much. So that concludes this section on the mini pump tracks. We can either take questions now on the section, if you'd like. That might be the easiest way to do this.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Would these mini pump tracks be comparable in size and surfacing as the existing mini pump track?
Yes, Stacy, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Okay, and then last question for me is, are any other sports or activities going to be negatively impacted? I know over at Long Canyon Creek, sometimes there's little kids soccer and things like that happening in that field. So I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, given the size of the open space, and James, feel free to jump in here, we felt that we could accommodate that as well as the existing use.
Yeah, for instance, it's a passive park, so we don't technically reserve it, so it might be a first come, first serve. I believe that there's classes that we host out there through our community service department, but besides that, it's like a first come, first serve. So technically, there's not supposed to be any organized sports out there, but it does happen. But at the same time, we feel confident there's enough space there. So.
Okay, thank you guys.
So I guess I had I would say similar question or concern for Long Canyon Creek Park, directly across from a middle school, and I think there's maybe 15 parking spots over there. I mean, we've been there. I mean, my Rotary Club planted trees there. I mean, I'm very familiar with that park, and I love the idea of having something on that northern end of town. But I just wonder about the limited parking, and then also what is it inviting? I mean, try to keep riffraff out, obviously, but I mean, directly across from a middle school, what's that going to do, and what would that impact be on users of the pump track?
So General Kearney, on the side where the middle school is, already has the street side parking carved out. And so one of the recommendations was, if we did do this placement, that we converted that, I want to say it's the southernmost lane, so it would be the eastern bound. If you're turning, this is terrible. If you're turning off of Margarita, if you were heading north and you made a right on General Kearney, the park's on your right.
Mm-hmm.
We would take that rightmost lane and convert that into street side parking as well to provide additional parking spaces there. And that would take place right after the church. If you look at this image, there's a little corner, the lower right corner is parking lot. That's a church right there. So our goal is to not impact traffic to and from the church, but to provide additional parking on the side of the street there.
But what would the traffic impact be for the school eliminating a lane in there? Because it's pretty nasty over there during school hours, I guess.
Stacy, did you want to jump in on this?
Yeah.
And we were actually hoping, as it relates to the middle school, that this would actually be a positive addition for middle school students who maybe right after school, they'd have something they could walk right over to and potentially, meet up with their families there and enjoy the mini pump track.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely see it. I'm trying to visualize everything going into it, and there's always a lot going on.
Parking.
But both of my kids went today, so I remember.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going over in that area, and we actually avoided North General Kearney side. We came in behind Lowe's, and is that Odessa? What's the other lane or the other street that's over there? Because this was always such a challenge, and I remember people that lived in Meadowview always complaining. I mean, it just seems to be very busy.
Parking
Of
is
course,
busy.
just in the morning time or the afternoon time.
Right.
I just didn't know. Even kids taking off from middle school, hey, there's a pump track, I'm just gonna ride right across over
running
there.
right
and
across traffic.
It just kind of seems a little surprising that would be a desired location, but.
That would have to go to Public Traffic Safety Commission as well for any changes in parking, so there would be
see.
some additional research into that before that we would get to that point.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good comments. Commissioner Hadi?
Okay, so, well, we'll make one comment and then another comment. Number one, with the mini pump tracks, I understand this. I actually have a question on this. In the Wolf Creek Park, you do have the pickleball courts there, but I've had some discussions with the active sport advocacy, and we talked about design of skate parks and looked at a model that is pump track along with a skate park. And oftentimes, what'll happen is they'll have a pump track around a skate park. But with the mini pump tracks, looking at Wolf Creek, was Wolf Creek considered for potential skate park also, along with the mini pump track?
We didn't get, because we don't have CIPs for a skate park at this point, we didn't get into any specific recommendations, but one of the appeals of Wolf Creek is that right now, it's really not a developed park at all.
Right.
And it's on the south end of town where we often hear feedback that we don't have as many amenities. And it has a massive amount of open space. So on this slide, if you go back, to your Wolf Creek slide, we did throw in the pickleball courts, which you'll see in the next section of the PowerPoint when we talk about this. Again, it's just for scale. That's not where they would be. We're not just going to slam them down right in the middle of the open space.
Okay.
But the idea was that between the mini pump track and the pickleball courts, there's still an enormous amount of space there that can be
Right.
developed into future amenities, whether
Right.
that would be potentially a skate park, potentially a larger pump track, or something else entirely.
Okay, great. That's great that that option is there. I also want to commend the selection of Wolf Creek because it's on the Pechanga Bike Trail. And I think when we have those concerns about traffic, I've made this comment before, that we want to think about parking, circulation, traffic, safety. We oftentimes think in terms of cars. And if my vision is, in the Wolf Creek track, I can see a kid, getting on his bike, riding it to the pump track. It's the same. When we do it along our trails, a kid can get on his skateboard and skate to the skate park. I see so often kids on scooters, skateboards, BMX bikes, pump track bikes, working their way to Ronald Reagan Sports Park on Margarita and Rancho California Road, horrible intersection. So I would love to see public traffic and safety, or traffic and public safety take this up with the thought of putting these locations in areas that are going to have connectivity for the activity. And I do think if you don't want to encourage people to cut through Meadowview, but this location in the northern park is, can have some calming ways to ride your bike down to it. The way you would go to pick your children up at day, you can work your way through those calmer neighborhoods to get to that park. But if we could maybe look in terms of putting a bike facility in a place that is accessible by bike, that way you eliminate car trips, you eliminate the need to have a car park in a parking space. So that's my comment on that.
We agree, and you eliminate the need for a child to have a parent to drive them somewhere. You know, in a perfect world, we'd love for kids of a certain age, you know, when it's age appropriate, to be able to access these amenities on their own, you know, and not necessarily have to wait.
Commissioner Sizemore?
Thank you. Looking at the Wolf Creek Park, that's the first one I want to address. Our Boy Scout troop currently meets there during the warmer weather on Tuesday evenings, and every Tuesday we're there, it's packed. The fields are packed with kids doing soccer. Well, this is during the fall, you know, not during the summer. During the fall, lots of kids there. How is this going to impact the youth sports that are using that area for practice?
James?
Once again, it's kind of repetitive of what Chris asked. It's, once again, it's a neighborhood passive park, so we do not reserve it for sports. So it's more of a first come, first serve. So what you're seeing at these parks is an overflow of the rental aspect of accommodation that we have at certain parks. So you're getting these, if someone wanted 3 practices instead of 2 practices, the coach is probably taking them out there and doing that style. So
Okay.
That said, there's really an enormous amount of space there, so we really are
There
hoping
there
to
is
shoot.
a lot of space there. I mean, we've done some pioneering days there where they've brought out the stuff and made all kinds of monkey bridges and stuff. So there is an incredible amount of space, but like I said, during the fall on a Tuesday evening when we're there 7 to 8:30, it's filled with kids practicing youth sports because it is a big space. So that was just my concern, is how are we going to impact that? The next question I have is, I'd like to understand why mini pump tracks. You know, we have a pump track, we have a mini pump track at Ronald Reagan. What is the motivation why more mini pump tracks?
Well, there's a couple of answers to that. One is that a regular size pump track has a fairly high barrier to entry.
Okay.
If you are not somebody who's really adept with a BMX bike, if you've not ridden on a pump track before, if you're not confident in those skills, especially with as used as it is and as popular as it is, you're not just going to get out there and get on your bike and necessarily feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
You know, especially if you're either very young and smaller or older.
Yeah.
So for that reason, the mini pump track provides an accessibility, it's an entrance into an activity. But the other reason, on a strictly pragmatic note, is it's a relatively inexpensive project, and if it can be completed for under $60,000, which our last one was, it's something that we can do fairly expeditiously. As a city, as a public agency, more expensive projects sometimes have, I don't want to say onerous, but sometimes onerous levels of regulatory requirements and compliance. So the beauty of a mini pump track is it's a small enough project that it doesn't require that same level of complication.
Okay. Okay, and I guess I can address the pickleball on this?
We'll be doing pickleball next, so if you'd
All
like to.
I just see us, we're doing the pump tracks, we're doing the pickleball courts, and, you know, when I went out last week to Ronald Reagan, I had some questions about the skate park. Because I look at the skateboarding, I don't know anything about skateboarding. All I know is my kid fell off of one and he never wanted to touch it again, and I was happy with that. But I always look at it as some of what I learned on Thursday is that our skate park we have it's old school skating. It's skating that they don't do anymore, and it doesn't really serve the purposes. And I always looked at it as, well, what? We built a skate park. Shouldn't you guys be happy? But then I find out it really doesn't meet the needs. And every time I've gone there, all I see mostly is bicycles in there. And I had an opportunity to talk to 2 young men, probably in their early 20s, that were out there with their skateboards, and ask them, well, why isn't this good enough? And they had some good feedback. And so that's where I'm just kind of looking, okay, we're doing more pickleball courts, we're doing more pump tracks. What's the logic encouraging that? Is there something maybe we're missing out on? Is there another sector of recreation and it's another sector of our population that
Yeah, and I think to go back to something that Commissioner Ruiz said earlier, it's that in a perfect world, we would have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We know we're over capacity on our swimming pools. We would have more sports fields for most of our sports fields. We would have another senior center. I mean, in a perfect world, our current senior center is completely maxed out, and it doubles as our inclusive services center. So some of it is absolutely yes. There are a million things we should also be doing if we possibly can. But the skate park specifically is absolutely on the radar. We know the existing skate park is old. As skaters like to tell us, it's crappy. And sometimes words that are less polite than that. We know what we really, quote unquote, need would be more of like a street plaza style modern skate amenity.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely on the radar. It's not in the current CIP.
Okay.
But it is something I could see gaining traction for a future project.
Now, when you
for sure.
say not in the current CIP, that means not in the next 5 years.
No, so I should clarify. A CIP looks out 5 years, but we do one every year. So
Okay.
this current CIP is for fiscal year 22 through 26. Next
Okay.
year it'll be 23 through 27. So we
Yeah.
roll projects over and introduce new ones every year.
Okay. Yeah, that would be something I'd love to see us, to explore more. Because I'm just like, I know we have a lot of bicycle enthusiasts. I'm not the anti-bicycle lady. I just want to understand, why are we picking to do more pump tracks instead of other avenues?
Yes, pump track, the mini one specifically, it's a cheap little project, relatively speaking.
Okay.
A playground renovation is $350,000. A mini pump track is under 60.
Okay. And I see the one at Long Canyon Creek going in well with that park. My kids, we used to go there specifically when they were little and they were on the little bikes or their scooters, because you had the track
loop.
kind of going around it, so they were able to ride that kind of unprotected riding through there. And so it's a good location. I have another concern that I'll address later in the agenda. But I would like to see us, maybe move that skate park up more as a priority. And I'll say the young men that we talked to, they were really nice. I mean, they weren't like, okay, what's this old woman wanting to talk to us about? And the one thing I was really impressed on is we talked to them about the hockey rink, and these young men were like, don't take their hockey rink from them.
Wow.
They were like, no, we can coexist. So they're
That's great to
really,
hear.
I really enjoyed having a conversation with them. But yeah, I'd like to see us look into that.
Okay, thank you.
And Erica, I guess the mini pump tracks, the pickleball courts, things like that, that's all stuff that rated pretty highly on the community interest, the community survey. Isn't that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So it's kind of backed up, not only, to kind of hold the place on the CIP looking out 5 years, but it's bolstered by the fact that it's a community desired amenity.
Yes.
Great. All right, well, that was just to receive an update on staff recommendations.
And then if we want to tackle pickleball courts next.
Let's do it.
Okay. next
Item
slide,
5.
please. Okay, so for pickleball courts, the CIP is $1 million. It's funded 3/4 from Measure S and 1/4 from Parks and Rec developer impact fees. Now, there's a little bit of an estimate going on here. We've gotten some estimates on what it'll cost to construct, but obviously you don't know for sure until you actually get the RFP and then get out there and start doing it. We estimate it will fund at least 8 and probably 10 courts, including lighting, fencing, and seating. There's a slight chance we may be able to squeeze 12 courts out of the $1 million. So one of the things we looked at here was one of the thoughts was with $1 million, would we be better off placing a couple of pickleball courts at one park, a few at another park, a few at another park? And the resounding feedback from the pickleball community is no, it's a social sport, more the merrier, we want all the courts together. So for that reason, next slide, please. Oh, sorry, and looking at that as well as similar considerations in terms of accessibility and connectivity, distribution of amenities, staff recommends locating them at Wolf Creek Park. Next slide, please. So this is the same slide you saw earlier. Again, this is only for scale. It's not saying where they would go. Where they would go depends on a number of things, including the other amenities are there, how they're used, how people would access them, as well as the topography and other, where's it easiest to build, that sort of thing, drainage. But this gives you an idea of how they would be laid out. So just for reference, 4 pickleball courts can fit in 1 tennis court. So to give you a sense, that's basically like putting 2 tennis courts roughly right beside each other. Each one of those has a margin. So if you look to the little diagram that's popped out on your right-hand side, that gives you, that schematic shows you it has a court in the middle, and then it has a buffer around the court so that people can walk back and forth, put their stuff down, move around. So just to give you a sense for how those would be laid out, and this is our recommendation, again, at Wolf Creek Park, it has good connectivity, it helps locate some amenities on the southern end of town, and it has a lot of potential to be built out with more amenities in the future. Next slide. I think that's it on pickleball. Yes. So any questions on pickleball or comments?
I do. So what percentage of the cost is made up of the lighting? I'm just curious.
Stacy, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, would you say it's a big percentage of the cost? All right, cool. That was all I had. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. My only question is, I know there's been discussions in the past of dual use of tennis and pickle and all that, and you said, would you say 2 or 4 was one tennis court? So I know they're much smaller. I haven't got the pickleball bug yet, I guess. But are these designed strictly for pickleball use only?
Yes, these would be dedicated pickleball courts. The only people who hate sharing courts more than the pickleball players are the tennis
It's
players.
tennis, right?
Yeah.
So this being dedicated pickleball really
Dedicated
services
pickleball.
that particular sport community.
That is the goal, yes.
Thank you.
I don't have a lot on it. I just know about these pickleball courts. I do want to just plant a seed with that amount of courts, maybe a center court concept in that same park can open it up for better tournaments, which again, pickleball is just huge right now. So great job on this one. Thank you.
I think I said it last time. I just want to make sure that we're spreading the love to all the athletics and recreation in here.
And it's probably worth noting that so we looked at things like spreading around amenities geographically. There's also something about spreading amenities around the demographics of the community. And one of the big appeals of pickleball is that it's something people of different ages, different abilities can play together because the court is so small. And it's extremely popular among tennis players with bad knees, but also among middle-aged and older people. So this is very popular. And a lot of our amenities look towards youth with good reason. I mean, we do a lot of youth sports and a lot of youth amenities and mini pump tracks and skate parks. But this is something that serves an older demographic as well.
Oh, and I'm all for that because I'm going to be an empty nester here in a couple more years. I'm all for that and for my age group having things to do. I just, want to make sure we're not like building more pickleball courts than what the demand is for.
No, the demand is really, it will exceed even this project.
Where can I go watch? I got to learn what pickleball is. Where can I go watch this sport?
I will send you an invitation when my wife plays.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I mean,
Yes.
maybe we found my new empty nesting hobby.
Absolutely. You can do it.
Put away the competitive robotics and become a pickleballer.
You should try skating as well.
No. No. Once I fall down, I don't come back up. So, if you would, Garrett, I'd love to see what is it. And thank you, Adam. I'm like, my kids are always like, Mom, look it up on YouTube. It's the last thing I think of. I'll do that too. So there you go. Thanks.
Nothing further from me. This is exciting.
Okay, great. Next slide, please. So this final item, just to give you a little bit of background on this, back in 2015, we had a number of playgrounds that were out of compliance. We knew there were some safety issues. There was some money in the CIP to take care of that. But We got some feedback from former council members, now retired, who were on the Parks and Rec subcommittee at the time. They felt very strongly that any new renovated playgrounds should be done with a theme, and they should be very, very high quality. So with that in mind, we went out and we did a survey of all of the parks, identified those, first of all, that had safety issues where they were out of compliance, but then also identified parks that had the potential to be destination parks. And with that, Stacy put together a list of the highest priority parks, and this is just an overview for those of you who are not here for this process. We went out for a request for qualifications. We put it out, it's a little bit different than an RFP where you're asking them to bid on a specific project. Instead, it was kind of, we'll show you what projects we have in mind, you tell us if you're qualified or not. Based on that, we put together a list of 3 approved vendors that we decided had met our qualifications, and then for the past 5 years, every CIP we've been able to do 2 to 3 parks. We've gone out to that approved bidders list, shown them the parks and said, show us what you've got. Why we're back here now is because that approved bidders list has expired. We now need to go back and really go out, and it's time to get some fresh blood in there in terms of seeing what's out there with these vendors. And we still have money in the CIP, yay, because we keep getting funded every year, which is great, and we still have more parks to renovate. So, next slide, please. So over the past 5-6 years, we've been able to renovate 11 parks. All of them have been full park renovations except for Temecula Hills, which was basically safety resurfacing. Most of you, I think, have had the opportunity to attend at least one and maybe more of these ribbon cuttings, and you know that it's really just a wonderful, wonderful project to go into a playground that was maybe a little bit run down, maybe showing its age, and then we get kids in there and we have these beautiful themed new playgrounds, thanks entirely to Stacy's work. And we're just able to open this up to the public and provide this wonderful amenity. Next slide, please. So where we are now is that we're going to go out for a new RFP. Now what we'll probably do, what we're leaning towards this time, instead of going the RFQ route, is to just do an RFP for each project. We know the parks we have lined up for this CIP this fiscal year are Red Hawk, Long Canyon Creek, and Temecula Creek. And so we'll take each one of those, do an RFP for each one, see what people bring back to us. Normally, once we get those initial concepts, then staff reviews them, we go over them, we make recommendations to the vendor. We'll say, hey, we'd really like to see more of this, less of that. Have you considered this? And then when they're at the point where we feel they're of the caliber we need, we take them back to the subcommittee, Parks and Rec subcommittee, and they weigh in. And if they approve it, we move forward. And if they have feedback, then we continue to sort of tweak that process. So this is basically just an overview. The Parks and Rec subcommittee right now is Councilmember Schwenk and Councilmember Alexander. Councilmember Alexander had not been through this process before, so we put this together for her so she would have an overview of how this process works. And then since we went to subcommittee, we wanted to bring it here to you and just give you all the same overview as well. I think that's it. Next slide. Oh, sorry, yes. This just gives you an idea of the CIP funding that we have. For 21-22, we're looking at $500,000. And next slide, please. Oh, there we go. So unless you have any feedback, that last one was just sort of a receive and file on that process.
I do have a little bit of feedback. I just want to say what an excellent job the team does on our community parks. I mean, in a way, it's funny because it's like going a step back in time. Because when I was growing up, parks were an actual tank that we would jump off of, and an actual fire truck that was decommissioned, and a metal spaceship that would sway and almost feel like it would fall over. But it was a lot of fun as a kid. And then playgrounds seemed to get pretty bland, like red, yellow, and blue with a straight slide, and not any fun at all. But my kids are just having a blast at all of these. I mean, I'm looking at Riverton here. It's just beautiful park. So kudos to the entire team. Very well done. I think the process is terrific. I'm glad that this is the caliber that the city of Temecula produces, and I'm just very proud to be part of it. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't miss the metal slides that burned your legs all the way down, I can tell you that much. Just one question for you, Erica. Do you know we've themed out all of the parks that we've done? Do these 3 parks have themes already? And would Long Canyon then follow something to do with the potential mini pump track there?
So we have not decided on themes for those yet. We're more than open to suggestions if you'd like to toss anything out there. Normally, staff gets together and kind of brainstorms potential themes, but we're also open if a vendor comes up with something and proposes something intriguing. Normally, we try to propose a theme that has something to do with either the area's history, the geography of that specific park, the history of that specific park, the name, the location. You know, Veterans Park is a good example. We went with an obvious military theme there. So, but
Okay. I mean,
more than open.
Not knowing the history of the location of Long Canyon, I would just say if there is going to be some sort of pump track there, maybe that's something that could be incorporated in.
Some kind of adventure sports type.
Something like that, yeah. As a possibility.
I will just ditto what Commissioner Krasevsky said. My grandkids just love our parks. If I'm driving by, they like, play park, you know, okay. But just amazing parks here, and keep it up. And just one note, sorry I didn't get to ride my bike to all the parks last week, but my wife heard about it because I said it publicly and said I couldn't do it. So we'll have to figure out a safe way to do it, and then I'll get it done.
Well, that's an argument for better connectivity. Yeah.
Thank you. I love all the remodeling that is going on with the parks. I'm just kind of sad that mine have grown up. I think the first
I feel
theme,
that.
Yeah, I think the first theme park we probably had was Temecula Hills with the Castle Park. And I mean, once Castle Park went in, that was kind of like, that was it. That's where we go now, Mom, because that's, you know, they played like they were knights and princesses in the castle. It was a fun time. So I'm enjoying seeing the remodels with the themes. Long Canyon Creek Park is due for remodel. It needs it. I have only one question. You might already guess what I'm going to ask.
Is it going to have bathrooms?
Is it going to have bathrooms?
So we discussed that when we talked about locating the mini pump track there.
Uh-huh.
And as you know, right now it has one portalette.
Oh,
And-
yes. Well, I don't know it that well anymore because we had
Okay.
to stop going.
And we discussed that we would, if we do locate a mini pump track there, we will need to build in, locating at least additional modular facilities there for now. But
By
long-term.
modular facility, do you mean the?
The fancy portalettes, the really nice ones. But we do know that long-term picture, we need a CIP to address the restrooms. And Stacy, would you like to jump in on that? That was high on her list.
That one was high on my list. Long Canyon Creek bathrooms on there too.
Eric, a quick question.
Yes.
Could it be added to the CIP as an unfunded project?
It could I don't know if we would do that at mid-year. It could certainly, we have placeholder CIPs at the next round of funding. We can do a placeholder CIP for that. I hope we would just get funding for bathrooms.
I think I'm around 8 to 10 years before I have grandbabies. So I'd like that time frame, please. Thank you.
And nothing further, so we have received and you may file.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you to staff, especially for being here. I know it was a really long night, and I really appreciate you guys being there and having all the information at your fingertips.
You guys rock. I was telling Adam, I don't think I've been up this late since we went and judged Christmas lights.
You'll be up later tomorrow at council.
Yeah, this will be early. All right. Sorry, ladies, we moved division reports, and now you are up. So who will be going first?
All right, I'm first.
All right.
Good evening, I'm Cassandra Hargett, and I'll be presenting the first part of tonight's Community Services Commission report. Swim lessons have been underway since June of this year. To date, over 1,800 children and adults have participated in our summer swim lessons. International Lifeguard Day was celebrated on July 31st, and staff were recognized in an Instagram post. The Aquatics Division was also highlighted in our July article in a July article in the Recreation Management magazine. This article focused on pandemic-driven changes in aquatics. Next slide. July classes and camps had 1,109 participants. Summer camps concluded last week, and we are gearing up for our upcoming fall sessions. Those include our preschool enrichment classes like Bear Cub University and Miss Michelle's Tiny Tots. Our new Parent and Me participation class called Busy Bees is coming, and many more. Classes are filling up with waitlists, and we are working on ways to add more sessions whenever possible. Next slide. Community Recreation Center. Summer Day Camp at the CRC has just finished their 2021 season. Camps ran from June 14th through August 6th and had over 80 campers each day. Some July highlights were Kona Ice Truck Tuesdays, arts and crafts, scavenger hunts, and competing in our own SDC Olympics. Special shout out to camp staff and volunteers for a successful season. Next slide. Teen Zone reopened in May after being closed for over a year. Teen Zone memberships cost $1 for an annual membership, and it is open to all middle and high school students. Teens can participate in various activities, including board games, trivia, ping pong, air hockey, video games, and crafts. July highlights included a fancy chocolate tasting, DIY keychains, making bell pepper poppers, fruit kebabs, and a peanut butter and jelly or Nutella sandwich. The July Teen Zone monthly theme box was a hit. Boxes were sold out for July and included a virtual meetup where participants crafted a patriotic canvas, chalk art, and 2 fun games of Kahoot. August theme box is nearly sold out. This month will include our first in-person meetup where teens can do their activities together while meeting new friends. Next slide. The Fit Color Run is scheduled for Sunday, September 19th. Participants can choose to sign up for one of the 2 heats offered, the obstacle course for kids or the team competitions. Each participant will receive a goodie bag that includes an event t-shirt, medal, refreshments, and post-race entertainment. The event will conclude with a fun color toss for all to join in. Next slide. Year to date, there have been 36 street exits with SWAG and the city combined. A longtime Temecula homeless client moved into permanent housing thanks to SWAG's consistent efforts and hard work. We hope this motivates others to accept and apply for their own housing vouchers. Victory Outreach has joined efforts with the City of Temecula and recently accepted 2 individuals into their program where they will be housed. The city is very excited to include them as another option to help those in need. No trespassing signs were installed under the Rancho California and Jefferson bridges to assist PD with enforcement, and the city has reached out to flood control to set up a meeting to discuss fencing under the Rancho California bridge and the removal of the invasive tamarisk trees that are overgrown into the creeks. Can you go back one? I was almost done. Owners of the Altair property have worked to clean up a lot of the encampments on their property, and code enforcement is working to identify remaining encampments. Public Works has also installed a security screen door at the Help Center. Next slide. Inclusive and Senior Services. High Hopes and Skip participants and their families enjoyed an in-person movie night at the CRC Amphitheater where they watched Trolls World Tour and enjoyed a night under the stars. The Eagle Soar Playground and Splash Pad Special Needs Social Skills program took place on Thursdays throughout summer at the Michael Mike Nagar Community Park. The hour of play was just for children with special needs and their families and allowed them the opportunity to play and explore without being overwhelmed by large crowds. Friday, August 6th was a High Hopes pool party at the CRC where participants could swim with friends or relax by the poolside. Next. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I jumped. The summer food service program ran from Tuesday, June 22nd and concluded on August 5th. This program took place at Michael Mike Nagar Community Park every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and served over 1,500 meals to children in the park. Chick-fil-A sponsored 100 chicken sandwiches on July 29th for the summer food service program and made it an extra special day for children and staff. Special thanks to council members Stewart and Alexander for helping to serve meals. Next. The Mary Phillips Senior Center is now open. Hours of operation will be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for senior activities and acting as a cool center. In July, we held the annual Changing of the Flags ceremony at Mary Phillips Senior Center. With help of the VFW, our faded flag was retired and a new one was raised in its place. Special thanks to special guest council member Jessica Alexander, who led the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mayor Marianne Edwards, who sang God Bless America. The community garden has been flourishing this summer, and seniors have been able to take home freshly picked produce at each harvest. Library is now open at 100% capacity. The summer reading program for kids of all ages ran from June 14th to August 6th. There were 897 participants signed up for this program. Each week, there were new activities, reading challenges, virtual events, and prize drawings. Next. Sam Hicks Monument Park Perimeter Fencing Project was awarded to Lightning Fence, and construction will begin on August 10th. The hockey, tennis, and pickleball courts at Michael Mike Nagar Community Park were retrofitted with LED lights. The MRC renovation is currently in the design and development phase, and construction is anticipated to begin at the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022, with expected completion in December of 2022. The trail expansion is estimated to be completed in October or November of this year. Field renovations are continuing through this month at the Harveston Soccer Fields, Temecula, Ronald Reagan, and Paloma del Sol. Some field renovations will be completed sooner at Harveston Baseball, North-South Fields, at Ronald Reagan, Birdsall, and Friendship Park. Local recognized youth leagues will begin their fall season starting this month, and park rangers will continue to patrol parks and facilities during summer activities, as well as enforcing field closures during renovations. Next. This concludes my portion of the report. We would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Cassandra. A lot of outstanding work being done out there. So our congratulations to you and the team. Chris, any comments?
Well, thank you, Cassandra. That was a great report. One question, and this is off the wall, but how do you guys calculate splash pad attendance?
The splash pad is actually staffed. Yeah, very, very much, Commissioner Ruiz. It's actually staffed, so they have a little clicker.
Okay, that makes total sense. I was just like, how do you count all the little kids running around all day long?
Yep, thanks, Cassandra. No questions from me. Always love seeing all the information and updates, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, Cassandra, thank you so much for waiting it out. Super job, as always, and just great to see all the good stuff. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I do have one question. I noticed that there was a really large wait list. I believe it was 58 for gymnastics. Is there a reason behind that? Is there really just high demand for gymnastics? Have one of the gymnastics gyms, the private pay ones, have one of them closed? Is there a reason behind that?
Our classes tend to be a little bit more affordable, so they're a good segue to trying gymnastics. Okay. It's a really good opportunity for people to try our programs because they don't have to invest as much in them as you would if you were starting out at a gym. There's a startup costs and things like that. Ours are session by session. So you sign up for the number of weeks, and that's what you get. Each session is standalone, but they do build on skills. The wait lists are, with most of our indoor programs, when we restarted opening everything up,
everything's just kind of blown up. There's a really big need for a lot of our classes, but we are still trying to watch minimums and maximums so that we're not overly impacting the space while things are still not where they need to be. So our maximums are close to where they were, and we're adding wherever we can. Space and rooms are limited with that type of setup because they do use a really big area. So we are watching and adding wherever we can. Some of those wait lists, as things change and they either withdraw from the class, they do go down a little bit or they could increase. So we're adding whenever we can. Sometimes we're limited on how much we can add though, but everything's really popular right now.
Is that 58 for the wait list? Is that pretty consistent for session to session?
Gymnastics is always a really, really popular program, and the 58 isn't one particular class, it's overall. We have multiple classes that we offer, like different sessions. Each session has 2 classes going on per hour, so that's just the total combined.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think the first thing that came to my mind was the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do what they see on TV. And I also have no questions for you. Mercifully tonight, right? All right. You're up, Michelle.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Michelle Elrod. I'll be presenting the Cultural Arts, Community Relations, and Special Events Division report. Let's get started with arts, culture, and entertainment. And we have the Civic Center Gallery featured an anthology exhibition created by a local oil painter, Tom Graves. He does fantasy landscapes or Graves specialty, along with his deep love of Japan. This exhibition will be on display through August 27th. The gallery at the Merck featured the Temecula Valley Art League's collective unique multimedia exhibition. This exhibition was on display July 2nd through August 1st. The gallery at the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library featured a mixed media exhibition by Fallbrook artist Victoria Alexander Marquez. Marquez utilizes a variety of mediums such as textiles, collages, and etchings in her work. This exhibition was on display June 28th through July 30th. And last but not least, the Temecula Valley Museum Rotunda Gallery featured painter Donna Lee Abadaco's anthology exhibition, in which she had a variety of subjects were displayed. Much of her work consisted of custom portraits, landscapes, and cultural imagery. This exhibition will be on display through August 27th. Next slide, please. Community outreach. The Community Relations Outreach Team filmed and aired a new episode of the Park Adventure series in July. The Around and About Temecula Park Adventure series, episode 11, featured the newly renamed and renovated Friendship Park, formerly Paula Park. The viewers learned all about the origins of the name change, philosophy, and symbolism, along with the newly installed ADA all-inclusive playground amenities. It has been very successful, receiving over 2,600 views. Around and About Temecula Travel Edition. In episode 1, the team traveled over to the Merck in Old Town and provided information on upcoming performances and the anticipated reopening of the Old Town Temecula Theater's ticket office. The next stop was the Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library, where the team informed viewers about some upcoming programming and amenities. In episode 2, the team ventured over to the Temecula Valley Museum, and viewers were informed about upcoming cultural programming, exhibits, and the new family-friendly inviting playground at Sam Hicks Monument Park. The final stop was at the Community Rec Center, and that featured highlights including adult drop-in sports and the gym and teen zone. Total combined views for these 2 episodes were 1,143 for the month of July. To help celebrate Park and Recreation Month, the team filmed an infomercial starring TCSD's very own Willa Augustine to promote the new Park Pack giveaway. Park Pack items included a branded tote bag, water bottle, snack container, and hand sanitizer, and were available to all residents who submitted a photo of themselves at one of our amazing Temecula parks. The team distributed the over 40 park packs, and the TCSD's TV infomercial received nearly 1,000 views. To help kick off National Park and Rec Month, the team released an intro video on July 1st highlighting TCSD staff who oversee and facilitate programs, events, and facilities that serve our strong, vibrant, and resilient community. This featured video encouraged viewers to stay tuned throughout the month of July for fun stories, reels, behind-the-scenes videos, and more. Park Adventure Series Episode 13, filming in progress. The Park Adventure Series Episode number 13, featuring Nakagama and Warburg Parks around and about Temecula. Episode 25, and an informative tips video for residents who request to speak at City Council and Commission meetings. Our sponsorships, Chick-fil-A Temecula partnered with TCSD and donated a large gift basket to be presented to one of the lucky person at the end of July for the grand prize drawing for the Park Pack contest. 2 more gift baskets were also generously donated for future special TCSD giveaway promotional contests. And Chick-fil-A Temecula donated over 100 lunches to the free summer meals program offered at Mike Nagar Community Park. This program concluded on August 5th. Next slide, please. Social media. July was National Parks and Rec Month with the theme Our Parks and Rec Story, and Friday, July 16th was Park and Rec Professionals Day. So Team TCSD celebrated all of Temecula's dedicated public servants, past and present. We're telling our park rec story every day since December 1st, 1989. Team TCSD encouraged everyone to visit Temecula's 41 parks and participate in activities and events and share their stories with us on social media. Temecula's social media team had fun creating videos for Park and Recreation Month, and the social media team TCSD Reel was a parody from the movie Anchorman. The team had a great time recreating their famous news team commercial. City Manager's Office partnered with Parks and Rec Month campaign, which featured real stories about TCSD divisions with a social media grand total of 1,481 views and 225,377 reach. The Park Pack campaign received many submitted photos of residents out and about enjoying Temecula's 41 parks and amenities. Over 40 park packs were claimed during the month of July. Next slide, please. Special events. July recap. Friendship Park ribbon cutting. On Thursday, July 15th, the special events team hosted the long-awaited ribbon cutting for Friendship Park. This event had an amazing turnout with approximately 80 guests. Special thanks to City Council, Community Services Commission, Ready Commission, Public Safety Traffic Commission, Planning Commission, city staff, and former council member Mike Nagar for attending. The ribbon-cutting event was a wonderful example of friendship and inclusion, and our community looks forward to enjoying this park with friends for years to come. Summer concert series at the CRC Amphitheater at 7 p.m. featured 3 bands for the month of July, and one this past Thursday, August 5th. The July and early August summer concert series had an approximately guest count of 300 plus at each in-person concert. The award-winning event of Art Off the Walls has returned for the 2021 season. The event debuted this past Friday, August 6th at the Lot on Main with 16 registered artists. Guests enjoyed an evening of live music, refreshments, art show, and artist reception featuring Martin Nassim. Round 4 of the USA Pump Track Championships debuted this past Saturday, August 7th at the Temecula Pump Track located in the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. August and September events preview. For a summer concert series at the CRC Amphitheater at 7 p.m. will be featuring August 12th, Bad Chemistry, August 19th, the Chris Fast Band, August 26th, Undercover Live, and the August 26th show will be the last of the 2021 summer concert series. The team will also be hosting August 10th, the TVUSD Luncheon, September 3rd, the Art Off the Walls event at the Lot on Main, and the September 11th, 20th anniversary of September 11th. Next slide, please. Temecula Theater. The Old Town Temecula Community Theater is committed to presenting high-quality, diverse entertainment year-round to the City of Temecula residents and visitors alike. The theater is grateful to all talented performers, generous volunteers, dedicated staff, and loyal patrons for creating and shaping our vibrant performing and visual arts culture. Long-standing partners and award-winning producers have been entertaining our community since October 4th, 2005. On Thursday, July 1st, the ticket office reopened to the public after being closed for over a year due to the global pandemic. The month of July was kicked off with a sold-out performance of Country Live at the Merc on Saturday, July 3rd. This show featured a house band and an up-and-coming artist. Temecula's curtain will rise again on September 3rd, 2021. Temecula Theater's main stage will welcome back our community at Mamma Mia, presented by Temecula Valley Players. This live performance will be presented from September 3rd through the 19th. Old Town Temecula Community Theater invites the community to experience a night of hope and healing at Songs for Hope on September 23rd. This free, original, creative performance brings hope, healing, and connection to those affected by the global pandemic. Next slide, please. The Merc. Showtime at the Merc. The Merc opened for the first time since March 2020, and patrons were happily returned, and Temecula's theater family were excited to welcome full houses with open arms. Jazz at the Merc sold out all 3 of its performances this month, while Speakeasy at the Merc kicked off their season with traditional jazz of the 20s and 40s. Since reopening on July 3rd, we have consistently sold out every performance, entertaining 619 patrons. Bohemian Arts produced 3 sold-out musical theater performances of Title of Show, a wacky musical comedy from July 23rd to the 25th at the Merc. All the cast and most of the creatives and crew were City of Temecula Youth Musical Theater alums. On Saturday, July 31st at 7 and 9 p.m., Temecula partnered with Sherry Berry Music to present a stand-up comedy performance featuring Ace Gillian. Both shows sold out. Classics at the Merc relaunches in September of 2021. Looking ahead to all the amazing shows in August 2021 and the continuation of the Merc series and stand-up comedy featuring Monique Marvez on August 28th. Next slide, please. Temecula Valley Museum, now showcasing the Artists of Dorland, featuring Phase 2 artists. This exhibit features a unique selection of fine art from multiple Dorland Mountain Arts Colony artists, and this exhibit runs through August 22nd. The museum staff continues with its popular monthly cultural celebration, Second Saturday at Home, online format, and now in person, celebrating a world culture region with food, facts, crafts, activities. The museum traveled virtually and offered in-person activities to patrons celebrating the country of Canada in the month of July. We invited guests to enjoy food through recipes posted online and experience the beautiful country and culture of Canada through activities including class cultural facts and amazing virtual tours in addition to the in-person celebration activities. Museum guests explored Canada with delightfully sweet treats, ketchup chips, and the opportunity to take a photo in front of the scenic Banff National Park and park banner, and then they also were able to make beaver and Mountie hat crafts, and a festive accordion performance of French-Canadian music by Linda Herman. The museum offered patrons a hybrid special free live stream art lesson provided by Bigfoot Art Classes. This concluded with a total guest count of 57 in attendance. Curators report. On July 15th, museum staff member Steve Williamson met with Dave Payne, who requested information in digital photographs from the TVM Earl Stanley Gardner collection to include with a magazine article, which he is writing for a travel magazine. Mr. Payne left the museum satisfied, and he looks forward to revisiting the museum and will provide a copy upon completion. On July 16th, an out-of-state patron requested information regarding the history of Temecula and the Temecula Valley region. Staff member Steve Williamson was able to answer all his questions and inquiries, and the patron thanked the TVM staff for the Insight Tour and hospitality. Next slide, please. Programming. We have started our new program, Art in the Park, a collaboration between the museum staff and Temecula's special events team to enliven the park and enhance the new playground experience and draw attention to the museum. On July 17th, the museum launched the new program, Art in the Park, with an activity theme, horse hitching. Park visitors enjoyed the horse hitching activity along with the music in the park by composer and multi-instrumentalist Michael S.G. This program concluded with a total of 45 guests in attendance. On July 24th, the Art in the Park activity theme was Cowboy Boot Scootin', and our park visitors enjoyed the cowboy boot art activity along with music in the park by Trailing Rocks and her band. This program concluded with a total of 53 guests in attendance. On July 31st, the Art in the Park activity theme was California Poppies. Visitors enjoyed the art activity and warm, relaxing day in the park with music by guitarist Vince Mendoza. This program concluded with a total of 35 guests in attendance. Next slide, please. Student Mural Art Project. In celebration of our founding of our country, this mural had a 4th of July theme, and the mural was created by retired Temecula Valley Unified School District art and history teacher Bonnie Martland and her 2 grandchildren. Excuse me. And her 2 grandchildren, Jack and Anika. They both have taken online art classes with Tony Moromarco, a Bigfoot graphic studio, and Tony is a former art student of their grandmother, Bonnie. So the art lessons have come full circle, and creativity is being paid forward through the next generation. Thank you to Mayor Marianne Edwards, City Council member and TCS President Zach Schwenk, TCSD Commissioners Catherine Sizemore, Gary Audie, Chris Kostepsi, Ready Commissioners Denise Wilson, Crystal Pastorian, and Community Services Superintendent Bea Barnett, who all attended this Independence Day student art mural unveiling, and thanked Bonnie Martland and her grandchildren for their hard work and creation of the mural. All were impressed with the artist's interpretation of our flag and the meaning of the word liberty, and Mayor Edwards displayed a beautiful favorite Martland painting from the mayor's office that featured all branches of the military, and many spoke in appreciation of Bonnie and her husband John's longstanding service to our community and country. The next mural celebrates National Women's Equality Day, and the mural unveil with the artist reception will be Tuesday, August 10th, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Everyone is welcome. I hope you can all attend. Next slide, please. Upcoming virtual and in-person events. Second Saturday at Home and in-person celebrates Spain on August 14th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also, Art in the Park. Art in the Park will continue each and every Saturday throughout the month of August from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Next slide, please. Collectively, your cultural arts, community relations, special events, and rentals teams have impacted the lives of approximately 29,004 citizens and visitors for the month of July. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Simply mesmerizing. Chris?
Oh,
You.
I'm sorry. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, that was my last slide, and I just said, I'm so sorry about that. Thank you so much, how it started and how it's going. Thank you.
Excellent. Chris?
That was a lot of information. Thank you so much,
Yeah, I'm
Michelle.
sorry, and I condensed it several times.
No, it's just there
was a lot going on between the theater and
no, it's great to see everything opening back up, to see all these productions going on and concerts. It's just outstanding how many opportunities our community has to enjoy different events, and it's just, you guys do a great job. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Like drinking from a fire hose there again, seeing all this stuff going on. Keep it short, just a couple of comments. I'm really excited, even though I'm not a huge patron of the theater and the Merc and all that, but I know it's been closed for so long, so for them to come back and open up, and I did see a post from a mentor of mine who's been involved with Temecula Valley Players, and they're just so excited that everything's coming back. So really cool to see all that stuff going on. Also, one of the artists on display, I think she was on display a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. It's a friend of mine's mom, and I know she really appreciated it, so I was excited to see her name back up there. That's Donna Lee. I did want to just publicly thank Chick-fil-A for their sponsorship and their donation of all the meals. I think that's fantastic. And the social media numbers just continue to impress. I mean, we've gone from low thousands to tens of thousands. Now we're 6 figures of touches on social media, and just continue to be impressive. So thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for the extensive report. It was awesome. And
thank you.
Just so many things to comment on, so I won't comment on anything. We really appreciate you hanging in there and giving us a great report.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. I'm looking forward to the theater opening back up. Looking forward to Mamma Mia. I saw it the last time it was here, and it was so much fun. So I'm looking forward to that. One question on the theater. I talked to Erica briefly about it. I don't want to go into it tonight because I want to go home. But maybe in the future, I'd love to know a little bit more about inclusivity for the deaf community if they want to attend theater productions?
Yes, we have access to have ASL at any performance. We
Okay.
just need to know 2 weeks ahead so we can arrange that.
Okay.
And sometimes some of the students get practice at performances. So
Okay.
we'll make that known publicly so they can practice and you know, watch each other do that. But
Okay.
they need to, you know, rehearse, obviously.
Okay.
And occasionally, we have had that request. It's not very often, but when
Okay.
we need it, we have a contact through the classes folks, and then other groups have made themselves available.
Okay.
But we do have to arrange it in advance and pay for that.
Do you guys ever connect with the ASL classes at the local high schools?
We do, actually. Some of the students that were in the title of show, 2 of them are ASL certified. I asked another one if it was something that they would like to do. It depends on their comfort level of how quickly they can sign. But yeah, we are in touch with those classes.
That's awesome to know. Thank you
Thank you.
for looking into that and giving me that information. I appreciate that. Lastly, the Art in the Park. I showed up Saturday to see that, and it was really great. The music, going through the park, starting to see the families come over from the farmers market and enjoy the park, and the vision that Tracy has shared, her vision for your guys' vision for the future of that area, it's like really neat seeing it start to happen. So it's cool. Thank you.
Thank you. I
very
think the
much.
numbers have been just slightly low because of the heat, but once the word gets out and people become aware that that's an additional opportunity, that the numbers will increase.
It was absolutely hot, but there were some amazing, beautiful shade trees, and I could just envision myself sitting, eating my picnic, listening to the music. It was really great.
So thanks again, Michelle. You and the team, fantastic job, as always. You know, it was so good, you know, as Commissioner Krastevsky pointed out, to see everybody, you know, starting to come back to the theaters. The only question that I had, and it was just sort of a kind of a gee whiz thing, and really kind of building on the comment that Vice Chair Ruiz had, but the social media numbers. I remember when we first, you know, had asked about those, and they've been faithfully reported, you know, ever since. And they've been growing, right? Do we ever compare against other similar cities with similar amenities to see, you know, are we in the ballpark? Are we doing, I mean, it looks phenomenal.
I mean, we don't have their numbers. We would have to ask them to divulge their numbers, but from what we scour on the internet of what other cities are doing, our views are exponential. So something else that we have is that we have an internal TCSD social media team, but then the city manager team took an interest in highlighting us. So us working together has shown us how much more, you know, views and frequency, and it inspired us to do more just on a regular basis, not
Wow.
just for this monthly campaign. So to see their reporting structure has inspired us to do more, and to even insert a slide specific to social media for you to see the numbers. Instead of it reported independently, now it's all under Katrina and Mike. It's being, you know, monitored, measured, and just elevated.
Very cool. So no action items or anything. Just curious because it looks awesome. So great job. I guess no pressure, Erica. But we're expecting a director's report tonight.
No, I just wanted to thank you all for being here and not just being patient, but being so enthusiastic to listen to every public comment that came before you. It really instills the faith in the community that we are here to serve and that we take them seriously and we listen to concerns. And also, of course, to thank staff, Sandra, Michelle, Tracy, obviously doing a great job as secretary on a very busy public comment night, Bea, James, Sergio, Stacy, Mike, everyone, just thank you guys for being here. And thank you for Neighborhood Drop-In. Thanks for going the distance with us. We really appreciate you.
All right, well, back to us. Commissioner reports, Chris?
Just a couple things. I mean, again, I started on this commission right when everything shut down. So this last month has been amazing. I was able to attend the Bonnie Martland Liberty Mural presentation. That was awesome. I got to meet Bonnie and give her a couple hugs. It was a lot of fun. Friendship Park ribbon cutting was just phenomenal. Lots of people showed up. The artwork is outstanding. The playground's outstanding, so it was great being part of that. And then just this last Saturday, I got to check out the USA Pump Track Championship, and it was packed. So, I mean, I didn't get to hang out until the older kids were able to ride, but it was fun even seeing the little guys like out there trying to beat everyone else's time. I mean, it was just really cool. So it's great to be part of all that and just see things reopen and see this department alive and kicking. So thanks for all you guys do.
Just a couple of things here. Kind of a policy question, I guess, but there was a couple of open public comments that were requesting room rent. Does that fall in our commission purview, or I mean, they obviously made the request of us, but I don't know where that stands moving forward.
Sorry, you said requesting specific information?
For the use of the
the room rentals.
The room rental, yeah. But
No,
I think both were CRC, or the Civic Center room for one and CRC for the other.
Yeah, genealogy and the Garden Society. Yeah, no, that's on us. We have talked to them, and essentially we just haven't reopened all of our indoor rentals because of COVID protocols, and two aspects. One is COVID protocols about indoor rentals, and the other is our indoor spaces are overly impacted because we have to space out a lot of our other programs. So. Right. I spoke to the one woman after council last 2 weeks ago, I guess, and she was obviously not satisfied with that answer. So no, that's on us to follow up with them.
Okay, no worries. I just hadn't heard that request come before us, and I just didn't want it to go, discussed there. One other, just kind of an FYI, I actually shared this with Stacy on the way in. I'm sure it's bad timing, unfortunate timing, but I went by Ronald Reagan. I wanted to go by the roller rink before the discussion of everything today. And I don't know if it's something we need to maybe beef up since the rink is technically closed right now with Rangers. And I know it's so difficult to monitor everything, but there was a lot of respectful people over there, but there was people on the hockey rink already kind of skateboarding around, doing some stuff. And I politely told them I didn't think they were supposed to be there, but I didn't know what kind of authority I had. And then I broke up a fight between two teenagers that was literally like getting thrown down over there.
Oh,
so
no, I'm sorry.
again, I think it's kind of a one-off, probably a unique type of a thing, but just kind of an observation of, when there is no rentals going on and there's a lack of maybe coaches and adults and other people over there, I just at least wanted that to be shared with everybody and make sure we address that.
We appreciate that. In the past, when we've had to have closures on the pump track, we've had to get security over there, basically around the clock, because people just do not respect fences and, closed signs and so forth. So, but sorry you broke up a fight. That's scary. We don't want you putting yourself in harm's way.
No, thank you for letting us know. I think it's just unfortunate timing of everything. So I'm sure it will be shared, but I just want to make sure that the subcommittee, is fully aware of how full the room was. I mean, I think virtually every seat was filled, and I would hope that they get the same kind of participation in their meeting, but I just really want to make sure that they understand, how many people did come out for that as well. And then lastly, it was just an idea, and I've thought about this through a little bit, and I don't know if it would create more work, and I definitely don't want to give James and Sergio more work, but we've got an amazing social media team. And then I heard tonight about a hockey team that performed very well at a state type of a competition. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity that we can work with, maybe not all, but the teams that represent Temecula, and give them an opportunity. I mean, a lot of them do internally, hey, congratulations, this team was, tournament champion at this age group or this level. But I mean, if there's something of significance, could we utilize our audience that we have to demonstrate, hey, here's some other things going out. I'm looking at you guys because I don't want to create where, oh, you're promoting this organization over this one, and I as I'm thinking it through, I could kind of see that happening. But the idea is just to make very aware that, hey, we've got this team, this soccer team, basketball team, football team, lacrosse, hockey, whatever it might be, that's performed very well, and we just wanted to give them some recognition. Just an idea.
No, that's a great idea we can look into. We have had them come before council when there's a local sports team that's done well. Sometimes they come before council for recognition, but we can definitely look into what sort of social media options we have.
Just figured it might be something easy, and I mean, a lot of times, even if it's just a weekend, but you're traveling out of town, but you've got the Temecula name, for most of the teams, I think have the Temecula name associated with it. So just an opportunity. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Just thanks, James and Sergio, for really appreciate that. It was very, very informative, really set the stage, so thanks for that. Thanks for everybody that's stayed the night, and I'll withhold my comments so we can get out of here.
Thank you. I would echo what Adam was saying. We did have 2 public comments wanting to do the room rentals. I know we do have other activities that are happening at the CRC, and we've had hosted events at the conference center. If we could see about getting these other organizations back in some rental space. That, and I do like what Adam was saying about, recognizing our other youth activities. Competitive robotics, Boy Scouts, all these activities, these kids accomplish some great things. I do understand if you call out one, then you're going to have everybody coming out to want recognition, but that might be a nice thing. Maybe some kind of protocol if we tag the city in a post. Maybe you guys could pick it up. That would be great. I wanted to let my fellow commissioners know that the first meeting for the Blue Ribbon Committee will be happening August 26th. That is the Blue Ribbon Committee for the update to the Quality of Life Master Plan. So I will be attending that on the 26th, and next month I should be able to have some stuff to bring back to you. I know Erica shared with us the recent survey that was done of our residents for the resident satisfaction. We scored really highly, especially in community services. People like what the community service is doing and the activities we have and the events. So that's great to hear. So next month I should have some content to share with all of you about that. That is it. Thank you.
Let's see. Adam covered the public comments, so I'll mark those off of mine. I figured there was some kind of background for that. And then lots of good work continuing to be done here. I still want to put another plug in for lighting up the duck pond. I think that would be awesome. Just throwing that out there, Mr. Fox. Right. But no, that's it for me. All right, where are we? No further comments, and I've been informed that we no longer have to vote to end the meeting, so we will adjourn to the next time, 9:18. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Aaron.